All right, it is 6 p.m. on June 15th, 2026, here at the Woodford County Public Schools Board Office. We're going to call to order our meeting, a regular school board meeting tonight. Roll call, all members are here in person, and we're going to stand, and I'll start the Pledge of Allegiance right behind us.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. I do have two proposed amendments to the agenda. We're going to add FY27 insurance renewal to our regular agenda, so that'll be item P at the end of the regular agenda. And then I'm also going to add for a discussion item tonight, a discussion on switching the current personal days amount from 2 to 3. So that'll be part of our discussion. All right. So we're going to go, oh, and does anybody else have any proposed amendments?
I do.
Yep.
I also wanted to see if we could move discussion. Actually, I don't even think we really need to move them. I just want to be able to discuss contracts and school fees. And if you think that we have to move them to the regular agenda to be able to have a discussion, then I'm asking that we move them. I do think that we are allowed to have discussion on consent agenda items, but if you disagree, then I would like to move them, please.
Are there certain contracts you want pulled out, or do you want to go through each one that's in that
I just want to have
category?
discussion.
Okay. So we can move contracts out. So we'll move item D from the consent agenda. We'll move that after the insurance renewal into the regular agenda.
Yes, school fees and contracts.
And then
D and F.
we can move school fees out after that. So the contracts and then school fees.
Oh, no, please.
Ms. Springate, both of those. So we'll have a Q and an R. All right. Does anybody else have any proposed amendments to the agenda?
I don't have a proposed amendment, but where I don't have my phone, I may have to step out for a second.
Right.
Just in case anybody sees me disappearing.
Yes, gotcha.
With Miss Springgate's phone.
Yes.
She's letting me borrow it.
Gotcha. All right. So next we're going to move into our superintendent's report. And while she's not here, we are going to recognize our school board representative from our student body. So I believe we're going to go in order, and
I'll just open by saying, as we all agree, I'm sure that Millie has been an outstanding student board representative. As a new superintendent, she has truly brought the opinions and the input of the student body in ways that I feel like really have given us a great perspective as we've moved forward toward our strategic vision and decisions that needed to be made. Specifically, I remember her talking about the traffic and the safety early on, and kudos to her, because we have been able to really find some good solutions. And so I would just like to publicly thank her for her wonderful just serving in such a great way, and look forward to seeing where she goes next and what she does in life. So.
absolutely. Ms. McCowan, why don't you start down there?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Jones. I think Millie was an incredible advocate for the students in Woodford County, and not just high school students, but because she had little brothers, she was able to speak to younger children as well. And I love that she was not afraid to ask questions. She was very kind, but she knew what she was here to do, and I admire that about her, because I think sometimes when you're a young person, it can be intimidating, and I love that she was not intimidated. She was very polite, very professional, and I, too, cannot wait to see what the future has in store for her, because I think she did a great job. We'll miss her.
Mr. Wilson?
I could not get over how articulate and mature Millie is, and not only did I like the questions, but I liked her boldness to make comments. And you could see her thinking down there, and then here it comes, and it was always to the point, and it always made me think. And I wish her best in her future endeavors. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know one thing I always noticed is the confidence in which she spoke and that she was prepared when she came to these meetings and really knew what she wanted to discuss. I know that she was involved in a ton of activities and different school functions, and so for her to include school board and be that representative for the student body was very impressive. So I want to thank her for her service. Dr. Gould?
I'm going to echo what everybody said, but maybe say it in a little bit different way. I appreciated so much that she was willing to speak out. She brought multiple lenses into the perspective, not just her own, but she talked to her peers, and again, to Ms. McCowan's point, to, listening to the voice of her younger brothers and bringing just that conversation in. She is an outstanding young lady, and I know that she's going to go far. And really, she's the epitome of what we want to see in a student representative when you talk about really bringing a voice and bringing representation into this space. It is so vitally important that it's not just a seat at the table, but it is really you sharing your thoughts, your opinions of not only yourself but your peers, and noticing those things and coming with solutions to problems. And that's exactly what she did, and she's definitely going to be a mover and shaker, and I am so excited for her future, and I know she's going to do really great things.
Ms. Springate?
And I would really just echo everything that everyone has said. I think Ambrose, when Maddie came to us with her proposal to have a student on the, a non-voting student member on the board.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah. It was, I thought, well, it's good to have student voice, and it would be nice, but I didn't anticipate that we would have such a long string of students that have just excellent. I mean, there's no other word for it. They have been excellent. And really, that voice and that perspective was the reason that I think we voted unanimously on that,
it was
and
good.
added the student.
It was good.
Yep. And so I think many, many more years of that. So it's wonderful.
Do we have a replacement?
Thank you.
We do. Miss Reese Devine will be our next student board representative, and she's also going to be wonderful. So we're excited about that.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and just wanted to share a few special shout outs. The first 2 weeks of summer feeding, is that correct? Am I going ahead now?
Yeah.
Okay. Our food service and central office employees have served 22,125 meals in the first 2 weeks, which is incredible. It's absolutely like way beyond what we usually are already at this place. So it's amazing. And what that does, the more participation we have in that program, the more funding, of course, that we are able to get for food service. So we're really excited about that. A couple of other shout outs. I just want to give a shout out to WEEF, our Woodford Educational Endowment Foundation. And Chair Brickler may want to talk a little bit about it, but they hosted the annual golf scramble, and they are amazing. They were able to raise over $15,000 to support, our school system, and so I'm so thankful for that organization and what they do for us. And then I wanted to just give a shout out to our transportation and central office WOSA winners. We had Liz Pitcher at central office, and then we had Carla, for some reason I can't, thank you, I can't read it, Stefanski with transportation, and they both are so deserving of our WOSA award. And the last thing, we were able to, as part of our big end of the year attendance award, we took we had 1,900 employees this year who had at least that represents 19 month, or that represents a month, at least 1 month per. I'm not saying that correctly. Every time that an employee had perfect attendance for a month, they got entered into a drawing. By the end of the year, that ended up being 19,000. In entries. And so we were able, because of our community partners, American Fidelity, Kentucky Castle, Bailey Sachs Bloodstock, Don Jockey, Weta Michael, Tiny Bird Bookstore, Black Squirrel Restaurant, Oak and More, Blake Jones and the Compass Center, I know him a little bit, and Falling Springs. We were able to give Whitney McShara, who is a teacher at Northside. She was chosen out of the 1,900 entries with a random name generator, and she was able to receive, it's about $1,500 in prizes. And so we're excited. Again, at no cost to our district, our partners have been amazing. And those monthly $250 awards for perfect attendance have also been sponsored by American Fidelity. And so we're so thankful for that. That's been a great tradition, and we're going to continue that next year. So thank you to our community partners on that. And then I'm also going to talk briefly about the scorecard. And so I want to share with you sort of the vision so we have now our strategic vision that you all adopted, and that's based on feedback from several different stakeholder groups in our community. And so we now we know where we're headed, we know what we want to accomplish, but really the scorecard is what is going to take us into actually making the strategic plan and the vision come to pass. And so this is just a quote, why do we need a scorecard? And this is from the National Superintendents Association. Strategic plans set a common vision for an organization, or by using an evidence-based scorecard, we can measure what matters most to assess the impact within a school or school district. A scorecard guides our efforts. It grounds our problem solving and assesses our progress and deepens our commitment from participating team members. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the very first iteration of our scorecard for those first steps of accomplishing our strategic plan. And this is from the Baldrige Foundation, which is truly just about quality and excellence. And as you can see here, this is talking about organizations whether their processes are mature, and that goes from being a reactionary organization, you can see all the arrows kind of pointing in different directions, to having early systematic approaches, which is where we begin to put our systems down on paper. They're repeatable processes. We evaluate those, we improve them, and we coordinate among our organizational units. And then the next one over on the right says aligned. And so that's where we begin to truly, we've got the processes established, we're evaluating those regularly for improvement. And then now that takes us to the step of we're learning, and we're sharing that learning across units. So for instance, if food service learned something in terms of they've implemented something, they've learned something, then we share that with all departments, not just food service. So that's what you see when you get to an aligned, our approaches are aligned in our organization. But where we really want to be is integrated. And that's where you see all those arrows, and they're not just pointing in the same direction, but they're stacked. And specifically because we're all at that point, when we get to that place where we are super mature in our processes, that means we're all working toward one vision. All of our departments, all of our schools are moving in that same direction, and we're integrated together to accomplish those goals. And we're looking at what can food service do to help us with student achievement? How do our transportation goals and measures help us get to where we want to go with student achievement? We're all integrated at that point. So that's really what this scorecard is really all about, is making it operational and helping us achieve the vision. So again, we know we have our 4 pillars: successful and engaged students, skilled and committed teams, caregivers and community partnerships, and stewardship. So this is actually our first scorecard, and the goal is, when you go back to this and you look at, there are a lot of bullets there, right? And we can't accomplish all those bullets at once. So part of the scorecard really forces us to look at, what do we need to accomplish first initially in order to move us forward in our vision. So of all those bullets, what's going to be most impactful first. And so these are the things that we've started with. And again, you all approved the vision at the January meeting. And so not long after that, we started getting input from all of our stakeholder groups, our leaders at all levels, and you all about what are those first steps, what are the things we need to accomplish most critically right now. So for successful and engaged students, really the thing that rose to the top, the priority is we will provide teachers with evidence-based scaffolding and accommodation strategies specifically designed for our special populations. And we've talked a lot about that with this board, for special education, for EL students, as well as students with 504 plans. And so that's truly the work that we are strategically focusing on for that first column. And that initial step, so if you look at, you'll see like yellow, green, or peach or orange, depending on what color's in the box. I'm going to tell you in just a minute how we determine those colors. But for that initial strategy or that initial step, we're at a yellow. And so I'll just go ahead and talk to you about that. It would make sense. So if you look at this, and I love this, we are posting this in all of our leadership areas, and I want to give the board a copy of this as well. This is going to become our scale for hardwiring practices and processes in our organization. So if you see, if red means we have no knowledge of this tactic or behavior and we haven't made any progress, so basically we're just at zero, ground zero on it. If it's red, that's where we are. The peach color, the salmon, whatever you want to call it, it's the learned level. It means we have knowledge of the major concepts of this tactic or behavior. We understand the concept, but we're struggling to get it off the ground. We're struggling with the action steps. And then practiced is yellow. That's where we have knowledge and we've practiced the tactic or behavior in our work environment, and we continue to make adjustments that are needed to improve. But we're just really at the beginning of gaining traction with the project. And then that lime green is applied. We have the understanding, a good understanding. We've implemented it in our work environment several times with feedback provided to improve. And now we have a good feel for it. We're on track to complete this project. And then if you see green, we've completed whatever that project is or that piece of the strategic, the strategy. It's completed. We've written good systems and structures. We have metrics to measure our progress, and most of our people do this most of the time. So that's what we want to get to in terms of hardwiring things into our school system. So I'm going to ask, what questions, do you have any questions at this point so far about the system, the coding system, or anything like that? Okay. Yes, we're going to go right back. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yep, we cracked the code. So if you look at under skilled and committed teams, there were three key strategic steps there. One, develop an onboarding current practice to show what we currently do in order to find those gaps. So the yellow means we're in progress on that. We have started the work, and we are moving toward achieving that. The second step with under skilled and committed teams, develop a who's who of Woodford County so that new hires know who to go to ask questions. That we are still working on based on the reorganization. So again, let's go back to our little code here. We have knowledge now, we know what we need to do, but we still haven't gotten it off the ground yet. So we are working to get it off the ground. And then an easier hiring platform for end users to apply for roles. That has actually been accomplished when we switched from Frontline to Red Rover. That has really streamlined, and that was the accomplishment of that. So we've got that underway now, so that's green. So that's accomplished. And then caregivers and community partnerships. So establishing an alumni association with the partnership with WEEF to launch on May 30th, 2026. That we do have the Alumni Association website up and running, and we had to tweak a couple things with our with the system, but it is up and running. And then the Budget Community Roadshow, Dr. Gribbins and I are planning to this summer go out and have conversations with different stakeholder groups in the community about our budget, current reality, and conversations around holding for the Hive. So we are in the planning and scheduling. We've planned that. We have the messaging, but we're in the scheduling phase of that. And then under stewardship, the key activities, it's interesting, we don't have budget on here, but we all know that we have a budget system in place now, and that's really been the key work of our year this year. And so that if that were on there, it would be a green. But because we've already done that, we wouldn't put it on the scorecard because it's accomplished now. So we will develop a district-wide custodial maintenance checklist that will be used by our custodial team members, as well as our district and school leaders. And so that is in progress. It is off the ground, and it is in progress. So we will review this with our board members and our community every 45 days. So once something is accomplished, it goes off here, it goes off the scorecard, and then we move new things in from the strategic vision. So we wanted to share that with you, and we appreciate Studer for helping us work through this process. Yes, ma'am.
What do the numbers at the top mean? I guess that's the schedule for review, but it says 5:15 and then 5, 7, 10, 12.
So those numbers are not correct other than
Okay.
5:15. So
Okay.
our internal team did review on 5:15. And so once we review it, then we bring it to you all. Yeah, that's a good question. So those numbers are not correct at this point. This is just a snapshot or screenshot of that. So we're getting started with the process. We see the value in it, but yeah, this is our first one. So
No, I love how organized it is and how easily you're spelling it out for everybody, to be honest, to breaking
so.
it down and making it very transparent to everybody on what you're doing and how you're getting there. So that's very impressive. Thank you.
okay.
Dr. Gould, did you have something?
I have a couple of questions. If you can flip back to the actual scorecard.
Yes. Oops, sorry.
So you mentioned under successful and engaged students, you mentioned that rose to the top. I was just wondering how that was decided on, or any of those were decided on as key markers. And also, I'm noticing that there's several different components, and I know the successful and engaged students, that's a big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why were there not more steps included under that category versus the other that have multiple? Was it just because it was such a monumental task, or what was kind of the decision-making process?
And I've led other groups through this over the years too. But when Studer led us through it, they really, you can't do everything at a deep level in terms of implementation. And it doesn't mean there aren't other things going on, but it's where are we going to put our strategic efforts now? Where are we going to put the most effort to achieve the most? So that's a good question. Under successful engaged students, if you remember the last couple times we've looked at achievement data, we've been on track with all students. When we looked at that upper, the highest achieving districts, we're on track in all areas with the exception of our students with special needs, our EL students, and some of our students with 504 plans. And so that clearly was the need that really rose up, and that will help us take care of a lot of other things. So it's what's the 20% that will get us 80% results? So that's
That
a good
makes sense.
question.
One of the populations that I noticed that wasn't on there that we have talked about being a deficit before is our students with lower SES. And I was just wondering, and I'm sure that these populations of students encompass all different types of students, but I was just wondering why those specific students were left off the list.
That's a good question. I'll ask Ryan Asher to kind of help me with that also. Did you hear it? Yeah. Come on up. No, it's okay. This is your first time seeing it. It's okay. This is why we're here.
Honestly, in coming to this format, we just picked out one thing at this point. If you recall going through the CSIP, there's numerous things, including low SES activities and strategies that are aligned to that. So rather than just duplicate and pull everything off of that, we chose just kind of the biggest, most glaring thing that we want to address through the strategic planning process. There will be more added, but right now those are living in a different action plan, so to speak.
Good question.
They're covered in that area, just not
Yes,
this
yeah,
area.
if you remember, we're required to have achievement gap goals,
Yes.
and those are included in the CDIP.
Well, because we had identified that as such an achievement gap for so long, I was just wondering, I just expected to see that population listed on here because there is multiple populations, special ed, ELL students, students with 504 plans. So I just didn't know why because I know that had been an ongoing gap, so.
Yep.
So you're saying that their needs are being met through the CSIP, so therefore they don't need to be added to this, so I guess.
I mean,
my-
we could add that language to it now that I look at it, certainly.
The approach is somewhat different sometimes.
Yes, yes,
Because
yeah.
it truly is, right now, it's accommodations and modifications rather than, that's where we are, that's the biggest need, like,
Yes.
to move us forward, is getting that system lined out.
But at the same,
Things are
similar,
still happening.
especially when you talk about scaffolding, is beneficial to that population as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's strategies that can be used for numerous groups.
Right, and of course, not every student that is low SES will fall into these categories and vice
Right.
versa. But that does make sense that it's more of a strategic, like a plans, every one of these populations involves some sort of planning process to it. I would like to see that population addressed at some point in time specifically. I know that that's going to be more challenging because that goes across many, many variables. It may be harder to track as well, but.
I was, that's the hard thing about this concept, is that just because it's not on here, on this piece, does not mean it's not happening. It is
Yes.
happening. This is like that, okay, what are we gonna put the most, like a lot of effort into and attention on and monitor closely? That's the hard thing, because and as educators, social workers,
Yes.
we're like, we wanna fix all the problem, like, we wanna fix all of it now. We're addressing it, but this is where our strategic focus is. Does that make, it's hard.
It does
It's
make
tough.
sense. I think that just going back to when we've talked about the biggest gaps before, I just was surprised that they didn't emerge as a stronger focus initially, because that was such a gap that we had consistently over time. So this makes sense. It
Yeah.
explains it.
It'll
I
rise
just
up
was-
too. I
okay.
mean, it will. Because every 45 days, then we review it. Once it becomes green, we've got that system in place, and we move on to another system. Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you for
glad you asked
explaining.
that question.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. And again, I'm sorry for not asking earlier.
No,
just haven't
that's
seen
why
it
we're
before.
here. That's why we're here.
I would say I really like the idea of a district scorecard. I do think it's important to look at like our biggest needs and our biggest things that we want to just laser focus on, and have those listed, under each of the categories. I think that's going to be very important. I appreciate that you guys started, and so you've got a list. I definitely think, like, just overall, when I think about a district scorecard, the one thing that, like, I would like everything to point towards is I would like every single child that comes to Woodford County Schools to make 1 year of growth from August until
Love that.
May.
Yeah.
And so if, like, that is kind of the big overarching, like, for me, goal, then I like when the things underneath of it really laser focus in on that. And I do understand that you have to kind of go slowly, kind of one at a time. But I appreciate, because I do think that if we are not paying attention and we are not discussing and we are not looking at these things every meeting, every other meeting, then, if we're not paying attention to that, then it can really slip in the background with all the day-to-day minutia that kind of happens in a school. So definitely appreciate the concept, and looking forward to kind of seeing some of those things like you were discussing, KT, to be kind of on here, and then to be supportive of that and helpful to moving those things forward, so that every single child in Woodford County Schools makes 1 year of growth every single year.
I love that. At least 1 year. Yeah.
Yep. Or more, yes.
Because we've got some kids that need to catch up, and so they need to make more than that. Yeah.
Well, and I guess
Yeah.
too, like, this is such a great concept, and it's very clear to see, and it's easy to see where the markers are. And I know this is the very beginning of it, but could our individual schools implement something similar?
I'm glad you brought that up. They will.
Awesome.
So
Love
this will
that.
cascade down to our schools as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so they'll also be, reporting out on those as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because then they would feed into this too, right? So if
Yeah.
they're tracking everything and giving you information, then you can report as a
And-
district-wide.
And individual schools may have different priorities sometimes, depending on
Probably
where they
will,
are.
yeah.
So they may have a few different goals as well on their scorecards that you'd be able to see. But yeah, that's the plan.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. I think that's the end of my remarks.
Is that it?
Yep,
All
sorry.
right. Perfect. Next, we will move into our good news report. Ms. Bringate, I'll start on your end next time.
Well, I'm just going to be brief because I know we have a long meeting tonight. Just congratulations to all of our recent graduates. So proud of everyone and so happy for them and their families as they move on to the next stages in life. And really, that's about it.
Perfect. Dr. Gould?
I second that. I was going to say that too. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we all can echo that. One of the things that I was able to take part in this week, or this past week, I guess it was, we're in a new week now, was one camp. I volunteered at one of the camps, but there were so many different sports camps going on at the same time for just about any sport your kid might be interested in, really looking at the K through like 8th population, and I just really appreciate our coaching staff, our team parents for going out and volunteering and making sure these camps are facilitated and run, and it's just a really great opportunity for our kids to get involved and kind of try something out, learn some new skills and meet new friends. So the camp that I was at, I saw lots of people attend, so I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of our coaches and volunteers that came in and shared their time with our students.
And our high school students.
And our high school
I love
students,
how
yes,
do
they
that.
all
Yeah.
volunteered too. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And even some students who had graduated in the camp I was at came back to play a pivotal role in that. So it still continues to, they give back. So our students serve in so many ways. Thank you for sharing that as well. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I love the camps. Anything to get the kids out of the house and still active and engaged in other activities. Yeah. And I did want to give a shout out. Dr. Jones mentioned a lot of our community partners that help us with either fundraising or just different support that they provide us. You mentioned the Weave Golf Tournament that raised money, which was amazing. It was great to be a part of that. So yeah, just really thank you for everybody out in the community that supports the school system. It's very, very important and needed and well respected. So that's it for me.
My good news for the day is I want to thank Dr. Jones for completing your first year. And I think sometimes we underestimate how difficult a year you've had. There were 18 or 19 new superintendents last year, and the two people who spoke to us, I don't know what their title, one was your mentor and one was something else, they both expressed what a difficult year you had. And I hope we helped, the 5 of us, I hope we helped you through that. But the way you have made this district more transparent in everything we do is unbelievable, and thank you for your first year. Thank you.
Ms. McCown?
Yeah, I just want to echo what folks have said about graduation, and I wanted to mention specifically, I think what makes graduation so special is because really high school graduation can mean different things to so many different people, and you get to see that as these students are coming up on stage and as you see their families out in the audience and their caregivers out in the audience supporting them. But I think one of the most special was Anaya Wilson, and that young lady, just having followed her journey a little bit through social media and things like that. But I mean, just what an awesome moment that was. I mean, it was something I'll never forget. So I was just very grateful to be part of that, and grateful to, be parts of these moments for these kids that are just, like I said, it means something different to everybody, and that's what is so great about it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, we're going to move into our curriculum and instruction update with Mr. Asher.
All right, I have just one thing I'm going to share. It's going to be follow-up on the tech usage analysis that I mentioned last meeting. So we have a process. We're in phase 2 of it right now through May and June. Already halfway through June almost. Really just the analytics piece and the data. Phase 1 was more anecdotal and through several measures, how I talked about just more opinions and observations about the use of tech. And now we want to collect some evidence. Also, we're in the process of, although I don't have those tonight, just the financial metrics involved, like how much these subscriptions cost, and really just a cost-benefit analysis. And then, as someone had brought up through phase 1, just the cost of, if we are going to encourage more physical printing and print resources, you know, what has that looked like over the past several years? Has that actually declined with the use of with the rise of tech, just to get a determination on how that is impacted. So iReady, this is iReady. You'll see the logo down there in the lower right corner. So iReady, we take the assessment piece 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. And then in between that time, the students have personalized instruction, which is known as MyPath. Now, the green recommended range over there, iReady recommends 30 to 49 minutes per week for best results, so to speak. So I asked them for a specific report because while it does very well week to week, and that's what we ask our school leaders to monitor, I wanted to see cumulative K through 8 and pretty good look here. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by the results that all of our, in terms of reading, all of our grade levels from K through 8 are indeed within the recommended range, if not below. Now, there are outliers. This is an average, but at least it gives us an overall comprehensive look. But we are able to drill down to individual school, individual classroom, individual teacher, individual student. But on average, we are right within the recommended range. Also, what we look at, a little bit smaller there that just popped up, is the percentage of lessons passed. Well, let me explain this. 82% of students, and this has a total of 2,397 students, so 82% of them had a pass rate that fell within 70 to 100. 14% fell within 50 to 9. So those lower percentages, they didn't move as far along my path, because if they didn't pass a lesson, they had to readdress that skill, so they wouldn't have moved further along. Honestly, we would like to see that pass rate above 90% of students in that 70 to 100% range, but we'll have to dig deeper in terms of what the root cause of that would be. So that's reading. Math looks somewhat similar, although you'll see a higher usage at the higher grades listed here, 5th through 8th. And just to note, we do not have this program, this platform for high school. So again, with the exception of one, and that's only by 2 minutes over at 5th grade, all falling within the recommended range. And I was surprised by this, again, pleasantly surprised by that percentage of students lessons passed. So 97% you see there in that higher range of pass rate using this platform.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is there something going on at the middle school with the math teachers that have them using this more and being more successful than with the reading?
So this was their first year of implementation, and yes, particularly they visited another school who had been using iReady for quite some time, and it is less about minutes at the strategy that the others, and this is a high achieving school, it's less about minutes at the middle school level, it was lessons passed. So honestly, I don't know. This is just time that it's giving here. And we would need to, well, if I go back, I've got that percentage of lessons passed right here for reading, but I don't, that's all students. I would need to break that down to middle school to really truly answer your question. Correct. But my point is that the pie chart you see there, when I say the emphasis was on lessons passed, I need to see that for 6, 7, 8. And right now that's all students. So my point is to answer your question, did they focus on lessons passed at a higher rate and less about the amount of time spent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's look at the math when we get there. So in math, sixth graders are spending 29 minutes, I mean, in reading, 29 minutes. Seventh is only 26 minutes.
Dr. Rayburn's asking you to turn that on. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying, if you just look at the amount of time spent, so sixth graders are spending 44 minutes in math, but only 29 in reading.
Yeah.
Seventh is 47 minutes in math, but only 26 in reading. And then.
My
third-
point I'm saying, it's not all about the time spent, particularly at the middle school level. It's more about lessons passed.
The goal is to pass so many lessons, not spend that
Correct,
much time.
correct.
And you could probably speak to this better than I can, obviously, I just can speak to this because I had an eighth grader, but eighth grade was intentional about less time.
They were, yeah.
Than they were, so I think that that's where the difference that you're seeing in how much time was spent, and that accounts for the 33 minutes versus a 47-minute.
Yeah, and I get there's different time spent, but if you look at the overall achievement on math, it's better than on reading as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So maybe time does have a little something to do with the achievement. I understand
Well,
you've
but
got
what
to
I'm
drill
saying is that
down.
we can't determine that. This pie graph that you're looking right here is all students. I would need to break that down to 6, 7, and 8 to see if
Yeah.
there is indeed a correlation there.
Yeah, I
And-
think it would be interesting to do that, and then also just to see if the math teachers were being more intentional about spending more of a focus, or putting
Mm-hmm.
more energy, or putting more time into that versus the reading, if it was during a class when they had extra minutes. Like, all of those things, just to kind of drill down a
I know,
little bit.
but it's almost conversely. What we're concerned, we don't want a lot of time spent on technology, and there are other platforms, particularly with ELA at middle school level, that they might be using as well. So our whole, we want to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And a slide here in a couple will show you what that is. So I don't necessarily, I would be more alarmed if our bar graphs were well above 49 minutes. Then I'm like,
Right.
uh-oh, they are using it too much.
Yeah.
But I do need, and you bring up a good point, back to that pie graph that for reading, to see if there's a correlation between grade 6, 7, and 8 usage and lessons passed.
Right, and I do like that. How much was this iReady platform? I mean, how much money are we spending on this each year?
It's very expensive. K through 8, it's for all things included, about 120,000. Yeah.
So it makes me happy. I know you guys are balancing things, but it makes me happy to see that folks are in the recommended range for the most part,
Yeah.
except for that middle school. So that makes me happy. I think that's a positive. But I understand you need to find a sweet spot and dig into the data and kind of see. But I like that it's being used during the green recommended amount, because
too.
it's expensive. And
Me
so,
too.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man, I lost some numbers here. All right, so IXL is a platform used at the high school more so, and more so for math. And unfortunately, I filled in where it says approximately, and I lost one, but you can see there, it's gonna be below an hour per student for the whole year. So my point on this is, you see this dial thing up here, 5,257 hours, but then break that down. You've got ninth grade, obviously doing majority of usage there, 326 students. Now, when you take 4,210 hours divided by 326, that's approximately 3 hours per student over the course of the year. And then you go on down. 10th grade is using it much less, approximately 1 hour over the whole course of the year. And then if you were to divide 290 by 302, that's going to be less than an hour over the course of the year. So first thing we're looking at is the amount of time we're using on specific platforms, and there are a couple more we're still pulling to play into our analysis.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
I do have a question about that as well. So how does this IXL, how much does it cost? And can we maybe just use it for certain grades and not other grades that aren't utilizing it, or does it not work that way?
That is, I do not know the cost as well, because that is school purchased. So off the top of your head, Dr. Raven? What'd you say, I'm sorry? About 20,000.
Per school?
No,
All them together.
we have, the majority of the usage is at high school, and then I believe Huntertown is one other school
I
that
was gonna say,
uses it.
I've seen IXL throughout but both of my kids were at Huntertown. So is this per week or per,
That'd be for the year.
so they are using it 3 hours per student for the entire year?
Unless you're a senior, then you use it 0.
According to
So I
what
was
was
just
pulled
wondering
here, yeah.
if we're paying for like grade levels, I would be like, let's don't pay for the 12th grade anymore.
Well-
But, yeah.
And that just, I mean, judging, and I'm gonna be completely transparent, so this is my own, I'm a parent, had a kid at Huntertown, Lens, and I've known about IXL like throughout all the years my kids were at school. They still do IXL, or they did. And I know we had Lexia at one point in time, and that changed when iReady came along. So are they intentionally phasing out IXL to do iReady? Does one platform seem to boost scores more than the
Well,
other, or why do we have
IX
duplicate if we?
IXL, what we're looking at here is high school. They do not have the iReady platform.
Okay.
Middle school no longer has IXL, I
That's
believe.
correct.
They do not, yeah. So they've phased that out completely.
And
Yeah.
Huntertown's the only other school that's using
Huntertown's the only one.
IXL.
And I'm not even sure what content area they have a, do you know, Josh, what content area Huntertown has? He's looking it up.
I know they used to use it for reading and math, but I don't know if that changed.
And again, not to nitpick, but if we're really using it so little, I don't know that really $20,000 is a good investment unless you've got some results that show that it's really giving us lots of bang for the buck on
So
assessments.
these
and
results, and then
knowledge.
on further, I don't have, this isn't showing me lessons passed, things like that. This is gonna be handed down to the school, because that was their purchase, with their school
So,
level money.
Yeah, with school purchases.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is, SBDM has approved
Right.
this platform.
Hopefully we can
Um,
share the data with them.
Yeah.
We will, for
It's
sure.
26,000 total. We have K-8, so it would be K-5 through Huntertown. They have math, 9 and 10 at middle school, or I'm sorry, at the high school for math and ELA, and then 11, 12 math. And then Safe Harbor also has just math.
So I wanted, what we were looked at previously was K through 8, the predominant program there. I wanted to, what best predominant program I could get for high school to give us a look there. And this is straight from their platform. I know that seems small to me, 3 hours for the year, but there's probably some variance there in, are all 326 using it? You know what I mean? So, as you see over there under ninth grade 326, there's quite possibly not all ninth graders are using it. So therefore, let's just say 200 are using it. Then obviously when you do that division there, that's going to go up drastically. So they could be using it more in Algebra 1, say, than our ninth graders who are taking geometry. So next steps, and I'll report out in July. Still data to pull with the remaining parts of June here. And now it's just the clarity and defining expectations. So we want to anchor in our sound instructional practices. We have an instructional design cycle. We have an engagement continuum. And as it says there, the ultimate goal of this process is not to eliminate technology, but to ground its use in sound educational practice. And then most importantly is defining expectations so that we have concrete clarity across all schools about what appropriate high-quality tech usage looks like. Give them, as we have already mentioned, specific data to help decision-making, whether they're purchasing or how they're scheduling the usage of it, so on and so forth. We just want those expectations defined and based in our research and our analysis that we've done about tech usage over the past year and further back. Any questions?
I appreciate you doing this. I think the problem is more than iReady and IXL, though. I think that, again, I appreciate technology is not going to go away. I teach fully online. I understand the value of Canvas, and I appreciate the fact that we use Canvas quite a bit because I do think that prepares students for learning management system that they're going to use at college. It's a good transition for those students who are post-secondary bound, regardless if it's tech or a four-year institution. I think that when we have parents and guardians that are concerned about tech use, it's because there's other, like we may be having this curriculum be taught through iReady or IXL, but there's more tech use than just that,
I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Right,
but
right. No, I know
what
you're not. I know you're
The
not.
group who came out initially said, okay, what are our core platforms where we think they'd be spending the most time, and that's what we've pulled the data on thus far.
I would be interested to see how much like the balance of maybe having a text online, maybe they're reading their text online, maybe they're using MLS in some capacity to facilitate their learning, and that's where we're seeing the tech use. Because I know it could be used in different capacities, but the image across our community is that our students are on their Chromebooks an excessive amount of time. And so I think this is a good start to say, okay, well, they're really not on these programs a lot, but what is the screenshot of how they're actually using their Chromebook throughout the school day when we look at technology use? And is there pathways to maybe shift that in some capacity to where they're not fully just relying on tech to facilitate learning achievements?
Can you go to the last?
If that makes sense.
The last slide again?
Yeah.
So I think where it says the instructional design cycle
Mhm.
is exactly what you're talking about, like, really making sure that within our instructional design cycle that we are clarifying, you know, when does it actually enrich and when is it a distraction?
Right.
Like being able to really pinpoint that and how much time are we actually spending? Is there a good balance? That will absolutely show up there, yeah.
And I think that would be good for everyone to be able to understand and see
Yeah.
what that
Agree.
balance. And I'm sure it's different between classroom to classroom depending on what it is, but the hands-on, the project-based learning and that sort of thing that, you know, you can incorporate technology into those capacities, but what else are we doing as small groups or, you know, all the different learning interventions comparatively to relying on something that's online.
Good, Lupina.
Facilitate.
This information was really great,
Mhm.
and I definitely see, I didn't quite understand the purpose when you were doing the presentation, but I do now understand what we were talking about and how this ties in, and why this would give us good information, data, and measurements of that, and definitely appreciate that. But I am interested in kind of the bigger picture, like KT's talking about. I don't know if there's any way to capture that information or data. And I do know that it will vary from school to school and grade to grade, but I do think that the overall concern folks are expressing, parents are expressing, really, and you see it in the news, it is the screen time and like how much of a day, a school day is that exactly, and what does that look like, and what other things are we kind of doing, and what strategies, and what are, the high level kinds of teaching and not instruments, but instructional materials and those kinds of things. I think that would be super interesting, because I think what people think happens and what actually happens are two different things. And to be honest, I don't have a child in school anymore, so I don't know. So I think just being able to have that information and share that out at a meeting or in some way with the public would be very useful. I know in my hometown where I went to middle school, they are doing, they're not doing Chromebooks anymore. They're not doing
One-to-one.
yeah, they're not doing that at all at that middle school. It's not district-wide, but just at that particular middle school. And so I do think that those are some interesting questions, and that is a district that really led on project-based learning and on just making very specific curriculum to the needs of their community, and just a very specific kind of plan and that kind of thing. So I do think that just as a broader question, that's a really good thing. So thank you for bringing that up.
But I think overall, you got to be careful and not let the pendulum swing too far the other way.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
technology is absolutely necessary. It's in every job format, so there just has to be a balance there, and you can't.
Absolutely, yeah.
We can't just say, okay, we're shutting them and you're never using them, because then we're doing our kids a disservice in that way.
I don't think
So-
anybody wants that.
And I would really like to see us have a conversation around AI policy district-wide, to be able to, not only from the use of AI within instruction, but also how we teach about AI, because that is what's coming on the horizon. And as, again, someone who is in higher education that battles AI every day, I think that, and having ethical use of AI and what that looks like and how it could be a benefit and how it could absolutely be problematic, and plagiarism and all the things, like, it really concerns me, because I feel like we have cannot say that word, their comfort, I'll just say comfort, their comfort in using AI, but how do they know how to utilize it effectively and ethically within their teaching practices too? And I'm sure there's a wide range of that across the board. But I really do think that that's something that we need to incorporate and look at a district policy around what does that look like for our students. And it could be at different levels and how to integrate that at different levels, but I do think that that's something that we're going to have to eventually have to tackle. And I know that I've expressed my concerns about that quite a bit, but I do think that that's something that we can't stick our head in the sand. We have to be on the forefront and cutting edge. Yeah.
And we do, and we have, and
Yeah.
we've come up, this was actually 2 years ago, kind of a color-coded system. Red, meaning AI is not to be used on the assignment. Yellow would be, it can be as a starter for the assignment, and then green is, it is the assignment, to where they actually have to create using AI. So it shows you all levels of use. So we did have an ad hoc group a couple years ago work on that.
Well, and I think that that's a really good start. I think what it's evolved to over time is more, okay, yes, but what does that look like from an ethical kind of decision-making process for students to help them understand, like, yes, okay, you can use it here, but what are the bounds around using it? I think has to be more, it is a gray area, but how can we continue, because it's going to continue to evolve, right? Like, it's not where it was 2 years ago. Now, AI today is not AI tomorrow, for sure. But I think that could be something that we have an ongoing focus on, especially as we look at technology use and how to do that. But also our educators and their understanding of how to have it enrich development, but also how it could also hinder that as well.
Where are we now, Mr. Chairman?
Do you have anything else on yours?
I do not.
All right.
Thank you,
Good.
Ryan.
Thank you so much. All right. We do not have any public comments, so we'll move on. Can I have a motion to accept accept the consent agenda?
Minus item D and F, so moved.
Yep. Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion? We're moving to the regular agenda. Can I have a motion to accept notification of personnel matters?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May board meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to accept notification of payment of bills?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the May financial report, treasurer's report?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan, and I believe Dr. Gribbins is coming up for his presentation.
Good evening, board.
Hello.
All right, we'll get to it. Lagging. All right, there we go. Like I said, this is the overview, but I think the most important slide is the third one here. We talk about where we're at in conjunction to the previous fiscal year. Specifically, if we're looking at the total revenues, we're running about 2% behind where we were this time last year through May. But the good news is the expenditures is running about 9% behind. So we're about a 7% better off at this point than we were last year. You can kind of see where the general fund and the contingency is. I will say, as of this morning, I was telling Dr. Jones, we had some utility rebates and some other payments that came in. So all of our large taxes are all in. But as of this morning, we've exceeded last year's revenue by $38,000. So we're moving a little bit more than we were last year. There's still a few things, a couple of grants to come in. So once we finalize this fiscal year, we expect to be a little, probably about, with the known ones that I know about, we're probably going to end up about 200 to 300,000 to the plus side on the revenue side. And as where you've controlled those expenditures, then that's gonna help to bridge that gap even further. So I think that's gonna be very helpful moving into next year. Our tax collection for the month, you can see for the month, just over 700,000 for our taxes. And then broken out here, you can see it from the Munis screenshot. So 700,000 for the month and just shy of 30 million for the year. Here's the fiscal year to date that shows that just under 30 million in each of the funds and the taxes that's allocated. And the larger by month broken out. Special revenue, you can see on the plus side, we still have some grants outstanding that we're going to be requesting that we'll get before the end of the fiscal year. Our activity funds, both of them, a little over for the month, but for the year, we're in good shape for both of those funds, both 21 and 25. Another good month for food service. You can see that the revenue was higher than expenditures. For the year, still running a little behind for the year. So if we continue to have the success in the summer program, then I think that's going to bridge that gap. As well as ETC, continue their streaks of month over month, continue increased revenue for expenditures. I did add this slide, so I'm going to start integrating this slide just to kind of give the board a snapshot. So this is actually April's bank reconciliation. So once I reconcile all of the bills and munis to the bank, and then this is what shows up, and this is the actual cash that we have in the bank currently by fund. You can see a couple of them, the special revenues, just because we haven't gotten those grants in yet. So we'll keep this snapshot every month so that way you have a clear picture of the cash in the bank. And that is the last slide. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
So for the negative fund balances or in parentheses,
Yes.
special revenue, you expect to get grant money in to cover that 303,000?
Correct.
Okay,
It's just some outstanding grants. We've already received some, but this is April reconciliation, so
Right.
we've already received the majority of that in May. So you'll see that next month when I put up the May bank reconciliation. Because we usually don't start the reconciliation until about middle of the month because of everything that processes, and so it's a little bit further delay than the financial report.
debt service, you have money to
Um,
transfer over?
Yeah, that'll be the kind of the pass-through for the state.
And then food service is only down
Yep.
for the whole year at this point by 8,000? Or just
Yep.
for the month?
Yep, that's for the year currently, so that's the bank balance for the year.
Okay, and so you're thinking if the summer feeding comes in strong, that will maybe break even at this point?
We're very hopeful, so it depends on, just like everything else, it depends on the volume. More volume, then we can definitely push that number down.
Do you think if it stays consistent with the pattern, I think, what was it, 22,000 meals in
Mhm.
the first 2 weeks? If that stays consistent, do you think that'll
I think
get
we
us
could
to that
I think
point?
we can get pretty close.
Okay.
I don't really have a sense because I don't have the historical look back to see what that looks like, but to the Dr. Jones' point, the more participation, the more it helps us to bridge
Close
that
that.
gap.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a way to find the historical tracking of how many meals we had last year versus this year? I'm kind of concerned because we don't have those numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we do, like, he's just saying.
Oh, he just
have
doesn't
like,
have it right now.
now.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a
But
different
it's-
message altogether. I was like,
Right now.
Yeah,
I was like, why are we not tracking that?
and then they're skewed a little bit because of the program that we did 2 years ago, so you kind of have to exclude that year.
I mean, you basically looking at last year.
Last year.
But
I
it
would-
is up significantly. I
Well-
know that because Courtney told me that.
And,
Yeah.
I think the messaging, and we talked a lot about this, and I shared it on Facebook, and it got shared quite a few times, that it's for everyone, not just
Right.
people that are struggling or may, have to meet a certain financial quota to be able to, I think that having that message really is beneficial to the program.
Agreed.
And I think, we still have time to continue to push that out, would be fantastic. I do have a question, because I do see that this is narrowing that gap where we were worried about food service. I am concerned about our vote from last time that we raised lunch prices, but it looks like we're going to be okay. So I guess my question is if we continue to trend in the positive direction and recover from, a couple years ago when we had free lunch for the entire district that stripped this fund so drastically, can we go back and lower prices for our food costs for our families? Because that was kind of the concerns
Sure.
that we had this gap, but it looks like it's improving.
I will say another concern though, Dr. Gould, was also that equipment replacement that's coming up that's going to be needed, in particular
Okay.
kitchens. And so food service does cover the cost.
Of that.
It's supposed to cover the cost of replacement of equipment as well.
Well, it's an area that I like to continue to monitor, and once we
Yeah,
get that,
absolutely.
if we
Yeah.
can go back to where they're okay and staying afloat, but we could also reduce prices for our families, I think that is incredibly important, and thank you for pointing out that
Yeah,
cost for
I just know
replacement.
that she's, if you remember, she's on like year 15 on some things that should have been replaced several years ago, like equipment in some kitchens. And so we know that's just it's a matter of time. And just from being in other districts, truly that food service account is supposed to pay for that. Like, that's not supposed to
Yes,
come out of general fund.
and we
So,
don't
like,
want it to
any
come out of
equipment
general fund.
replacement, anything like that. You've talked about options, having more lines, things like that.
Yes.
All of the equipment for that has to be paid for. It's supposed to be paid for by food service. So generating funds helps us also create more
Absolutely.
options for
Okay.
kids. Yeah.
And then
Well,
this-
and that would be great to look at that as far as, and maybe that could be something we can add to one of those.
It will eventually
Strategic
come up there,
adders,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we wrote in the proposal, we looked at the upcoming year's food pricing and all the increases that we're gonna be seeing this fiscal year compared to now. I think the last inflation numbers came out a little over 4%. So we'll continue to see that throughout at least the 2 quarters.
Well, and I think it's important to show how much the community effort in participating in this program really
Yeah.
pays off for our food service. And again, that messaging I think is so incredibly important for people to understand the benefit is really to the entire district. It's a mutual beneficial program for sure.
But I agree, we should look, at the end of the school year, we should look
Yeah.
at the pricing, where we are, the
Yeah.
expected enhancements that we need for equipment and what that might cost, because that will help us,
Yes.
like, look realistically.
Right.
It's not just the food, it's the other expenses that go with it that they're supposed to cover, so.
Absolutely.
And
I think-
if that lasts for 15 years, then maybe that's not something we have to replace again, that maybe we could bring that back down. I think we just have to continue to be
Yeah,
good stewards
year
of
to year.
looking at it.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that we can address in the September when we get to that budget session, that we'll have the actual numbers for a couple months, school back, and we'll be able to project a little bit more accurately from there.
Yeah, and especially if we get additional options and things like that where we incentivize students buying lunch at school versus bringing their lunch from home. When people have those choices to make, what makes them want to choose school lunch over a packed lunch from home? So I think the more that we can move in that direction, the better we're going to be able to keep our food service afloat without doing additional costs. So I love it. I love that we're going to continue to look at it. Thank you.
All right. And then just to give you an update too, we've continued our negotiation with the IRB and Castle and Keys, so we're just kind of waiting for feedback. We gave them their last proposal on a tiered structure system for the pilot, and so the legal counsel for them took it back, and we're just waiting to hear back. I followed up with them on Friday. There's still no kind of updates. They said they presented it, and they're still discussing it.
Thank you.
Not that it's finalized or anything, but what was the number that you sent?
We'll pull it up. So this was the tiered structure. We looked at it a couple of different ways. So Covington has a tiered structure. We looked at some of the other districts throughout the state. We kind of looked at what Castle and Key was proposing. Initially, they proposed the 21% pilot flat for 20 years. We kind of went back, did some discussion. They said, okay, we'll do it to a 32%. But we through that conversation, we said, well, a 32% rate today and 20 years down the line, that doesn't even cover any type of inflation or anything. So we came back, we put this together and said, this is kind of mutually beneficial. It actually provides a little bit more revenue than we would see, but it also, you can see for the first 5 years, they get about a 1.4 million tax break we would bring in just under 285,000 per year for those 5 years. And then it starts at the 50%, we go to 58, and it kind of escalates up from 58, 68, 80. So over the 20 years, that IRB would save them about $4.1 million, which the school system, we would still see, you can see the yearly amounts as that tiered structure goes up. And then we also said, you know, if you want to write in, we could do like a 5-year reassessment, because that assessment could benefit us, it could benefit them, but it's basically just a reassessment of what the value would be, and then we can take a look at it again. So I'm assuming that we're gonna probably get at some type of counter proposal, and then we'll kind of work through those details.
And will you bring that back to us when you get the final numbers?
Absolutely.
And then, is this consistent with what we do with other distilleries in the county?
So this is not distillery related, because the IRB is specific for hospitality, infrastructure, restaurant, and those things. So we haven't done this before, other than Lakeshore was the only other pilot that we have an agreement with. However, with the new, like the Lowe's and the Publix and those types of industry coming in, we'll probably do something similar, because they typically go to one of those state tax exempt type of programs, and so that's something that we'll pursue.
I think we do something similar for some stored barrels with Woodford Reserve or someone in the county. We get pilot from them.
We do have an agreement, or I didn't, but I mean, there is an agreement in place with Woodford Reserve. I do not have the specifics in front of me with that one, but I will say what I love about this, because you were on the board, I believe, and so was Mr. Wilson when you did the Lakeshore agreement. It's static. It's the same amount every year. It doesn't go up until the end of that pilot. This one will go up, and I love that Dr. Gribbins did the research and really came up with that, because I think it's really a great proposal. It's a great compromise to still allow us to continue to get more revenue. The other thing is, well, you know, so this is separate. This is separate from the regular property taxes, as I've talked with you all about last week. It's separate from barrel tax. Of course, we know that's slowly going away. This is just on that hospitality addition that the county would be bonding. So, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Dr. Gribbins?
I have lots of questions, but I asked the majority of those in the meeting that we had. We spent quite a while talking about this and helping me understand, like, you know, why is this different, and how close we came to losing revenue. And so I think it's incredibly important for us to keep an eye and work with our community partners as well, as these new businesses come in and what that looks like. So I appreciate that we are staying on top of it as a board, as a school district, because this is a huge chunk of money. I'm still not thrilled about it, the fact that I would wish we could get more from them, but I also now more understand the complexities that come around this type of loan and bonding, and it's not just as cut and dry as your regular property tax. So I think it's really important for the public to understand the differences, because I know that I saw it on the radar, Sarah and I both, had questions about it because we were monitoring the social medias and all the things when that came up. But it is a significant portion of money that we have to negotiate this. We don't want that to slip through our fingers, and we don't want to in the future as well. So thank you all for doing the research that you have and coming up with a plan that hopefully Castle and Key will accept and find the value in educating our citizens of Woodford County.
And I will say Judge Executive Kay, as well as magistrates, have been
Yes.
incredibly supportive and involved.
And that's huge.
And I'm really thankful for that.
We ready for the question, Mr. Chairman?
All right. All those in favor of approving the May financial report, treasurer's report?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Doctor.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this, both of you. Both doctors, all three doctors.
Can I have a motion to approve honors diploma substitution?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan.
Just have a quick question. Do we need to look at changing policy, or is this kind of a one-time thing? What needs to happen there moving forward, just so we don't have to do an exception
That's a good
every year or
question.
two?
Mr. Asher.
No, because it is within policy. The language is the board may substitute an integrated, applied, interdisciplinary, occupational, technical, or higher level course for a required course if the alternative course provides rigorous content. And so, I don't want to go too in depth because of the confidentiality of it, but it is a healthcare internship program. So in my opinion and those involved, it certainly meets the requirements to be substituted. In fact, because it is of rigorous content. So it's within policy to allow for this.
I'm wondering though if policy shouldn't state something like, if you have a course that's more rigorous than your high school course, we wouldn't have to come before the board for approval. Do you know what I mean? Just so that I feel like there's going to be more and more kids doing, these kinds of things and having the credit from, university and taking advanced classes in middle school, so that if it's more rigorous, you wouldn't have to come to us.
So then that would basically
necessarily.
just stop at the
Right.
superintendent or designee.
Yeah, so it would just, like, that could
We would
could be
approve
the
them.
policy. Because I feel like we would want to know if you were kind of subbing in something that was a little bit, an inferior course, or a course that's not as rigorous or structured. But if you're talking about a university course, obviously, those are going to be a little bit more rigorous than just your normal middle school, high school courses, and would absolutely qualify for, graduation requirements.
I would recommend not making just that one change because we are looking to overhaul our entire graduation policy. It's related to one goal work that we're doing. Our policy has not been changed since back when they did the academy structure, so there are still some things we're dealing with that just don't fit any longer. So Mr. Reed and I and others at the high school leadership have talked about revamping the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So we could take that into consideration as well.
Thank you.
Would that be a site-based change, or would that be a
No,
district change?
Because honestly, this gets confused, but it's a Woodford County Public Schools diploma, so that applies to
To
all
all
of our
this.
programs,
Okay.
whether it be virtual or safe harbor. So it's a board policy.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve 2026-2027 Pledge of Collateral?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the hardship application?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve district representatives for ARC and 504 meetings?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any questions on this one? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And then for the next three, I believe, Dr. Abrams is going to come up. And since these are so closely related, we're talking about the updated fundraiser policy, updated vacation policy, updated sick leave policy. And updated emergency leave policy. So
You could probably do
Uh,
the fundraiser policy, because it's a little different.
Yeah.
Lump the final three, but go ahead and do fundraiser.
Yeah, I'll group the next three. Okay. So can I have a motion to approve updated fundraiser policy, second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. And then, okay, for the next three, we're gonna just open up discussion altogether since they're so closely related. Mr. Rayburn will go through those, but I'll start with a motion to approve the updated vacation policy, second reading.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, so moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan, and Dr. Rayburn, I'll leave it to you.
All right, so we have, you have asked from the board's perspective to pull numbers from across the state, specifically what is our surrounding districts doing, just so you have that. So on your information sheets that you all have, I have provided you with tables related to how many sick days each district has, how many emergency days each district offers, how many personal days each district offers, and then the vacation days that are offered as well. So the first thing that I want to talk about is page 3. So we'll start with page 3, which is the accruals that occur for everybody with relation to leave. On the agenda tonight is a discussion item related to personal days. So you will see the reason why we are seeking this change from sick days and transferring those sick days to emergency days. And we have not elected to change the personal day policy, but that is up for discussion, and that would require a first and second reading at a future board meeting, is because this year, so stay with me for a little bit, this year, the state changed the law that says anything above 13 days, the district is responsible for 100% of that financial impact for anything 14 and above. So if you're looking at, well, what does that actually mean? If at retirement, if a teacher, certified staff member, anybody goes to retire, the district every year submits to the appropriate agency, KPPA or KTRS, depending on which one they go to. They submit how many sick days have accrued for the year for that individual employee. At the retirement, KPPA or KTRS then sends the district an invoice for 30% of that requirement. We budget that. We budget for around $200,000 for that. Last year we spent over $300,000 in that because we had 2 large employees that retired that had multiple sick days that rolled into that. But for the most part, we're spending between $150,000 and $200,000 a year for our retirees. That money rolls into their retirement, and that adds to their ending balance, so that when KPPA or KTRS look at what's their total package for their salary, they go, they have this many days available to them, so those days are allowed. And then the district pays that 30%, and that 30% is added to their ending year balance, so that goes into either their high 5 or their last 3 salaries, or however KTRS or KPPA do it. That's the number that goes into it. So at some point in the trajectory of how things have happened in the past, teachers, that is a benefit to teachers and public employees to not use your days, to keep them until retirement, so that you can get that 30% additional accrual pay at retirement. Well, now legislators got involved and they capped our number at 13. That's not 13 sick days per year, that's 13 accrued days per year that the employee can roll over. So according to our leave policy for personal, on June 30th, whatever that is at June 30th that is left, that rolls into sick time. That's on the board policy. So on June 30th, we take that number plus the sick time, and we report that to the appropriate agency, KTRS or KPPA, depending on if they're classified or certified. And then at retirement, they get that, they send us a check based off of that. Well, from 13 and above, the district is responsible for that every single year moving forward. So we are responsible for anything above the number 13 that an employee has retained and kept for the year. We are responsible for that. So that's personal days and sick days. The emergency days that we're proposing do not roll. They would not impact us. There would be no financial impact for retirement, which is there. So fast forward, we had 1 year of this policy, this law being in place. And we received, at first, an invoice from KTRS when this individual retired for $4,000, in addition to our 30% already that we were required to send. We responded back and said, hey, that's not how many days that individual had. So they went back and they adjusted it down to the 4 days, and that 4 days cost the district an additional $1,000 on top of that. That person has only had 1 year in the system under this new law. You take that and add that times 10 years, or 11 years, or 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, that is going to add up. And so while it might not impact this board in particular right this very moment, it will impact a board that's 8 to 10 years down the road when they have to issue an additional 70% of that accrued amount to KPPA or KTRS, depending on, right now it's only through KTRS, but I would assume KPPA will pick up very quickly after KTRS makes this first year into it. So when we heard about this, it happened in July. It started June 30th, 2025. When we heard about it, we could not make a change last year. The board had already started their annual procedures review, and we already had started July 1. So we elected to continue through this year and bring it to you at the start of the next fiscal year, which is what we're doing. So 2 years ago, the board, in an attempt to attract and retain individuals and staff members, voted to remove the emergency day policy and add all those to sick days. By law, we're required to provide 10 sick days to every individual. The board elected to take those 3 emergency days that were allowed by law and put them into sick time, which had no impact, no financial impact at all when the board made that decision. And if there was no financial impact, we wouldn't be coming back to the board and asking for this change. We would keep it the same. Well, now there is a financial impact, and you can see the only other district that even comes close to us is Clark County, and they have 11, 12, and 13 based off of the number of days that an employee works. So if you're looking at our current policy, a teacher, a certified teacher, gets 13 sick days, no emergency days, and 2 personal days. At the end of the year, if they were to retire or not, those 2 days are automatically charged to us if they don't take any days. If they take days throughout the year, then it doesn't cost us anything. But we don't really want teachers to take days, like that's a benefit to them. But we do recognize that that is going to happen. So those 2 days are tacked on. Well, 2 times whatever it's going to be is going to be the responsibility of the district if they don't use any of their sick time. Emergency days don't have that same financial impact because they don't roll. If they don't use them, they don't get to retain them. So on June 30th, they don't exist. So we don't report that to the appropriate agencies. And so that is where the different policies have come about. And you can see that around us, so every county that's around us, are sick, emergency, and personal leave. We are very high on the sick because we rolled those into emergency days. Some districts give them 1 to 2, and then the average between a personal day is 2 to 3, depending on it. So the 2, 3 is based off of the number of days according to the board policy, which is anything less than 239 days, you get 2. If it's above a 239, you get 3. Again, the board is welcome to change that policy. That is not on the readings tonight. It is open for discussion as a discussion item. So that is related to sick, emergency, and personal. So.
I do have just a couple of questions. So, in my mind, it would make more sense just to have it be 10 sick days, 2 emergency, and 3 personal. And that is consistent with what, when I'm speaking with staff, what they are indicating. I don't know why we would leave the proposed 12 and then 3, because that's over the 13. So if the whole goal is to get this down under 13 so that the state will pay for it, then I would think we would want to just do 10 sick days for everyone. Maybe 2 emergency days or 3, they don't roll over and they're limited by what the emergency statute says. And then 3 personal days for everyone. So then it's consistent, but you only have 13 total, which is paid by the state, so it would be at no cost to us, but it would be, just, I think, equitable and fair, just to have one for all employees.
So I want to make sure that it's clear that the state is not paying for those sick days. The district is still paying that 30%. It's a matter of, are we paying 30% or are we paying an additional 70% for a full 100% for the above 13?
Right, so we don't want to go above the 13,
Yep.
I guess, would be my point. And so if we did 10, 2, and 3, we would not be above that 13, but we would still, I think it would be equitable and consistent to have that across the board for everybody. But we would not have to worry about the issue of this huge ballooning kind of issue that was caused by that legislation. So that would be my preference, and that, when speaking to staff, that's what the feedback I've gotten from 100% of the folks I've spoken with.
Could I ask, how many staff have, 10, 20?
That I've spoken with?
Yeah, you said you.
Less than 10.
Less than 10, okay.
Yeah, but I think, you know, if you reach out and do a survey and say, here's the couple of options, which one would you choose? I feel like they would choose to have, you know, the 10, and then to keep the 3 personal, because they have some control over that. And then the emergency, you know, 2 or 3 is fine, because it has to meet that statute, that criteria, and has to be approved by Dr. Rayburn or Dr. Jones, and it's just very limited. It has to be one of those things listed in that statute. So, you know, that would make sense to me, because if you're still leaving 12 for some people plus 3 personal, then you're still having the exact issue that he's describing as an issue.
So just a blanket 10, no
Right.
more scale for if you've been here longer than 5 years or whatever it may be,
I
just
think it's
10
for
across the.
days. Like, so if you're a 240-day employee,
Days.
that's when
Yeah,
you get
it's
the
a
more.
day policy.
Right, so to me, it would just be fair, just and equitable to have the same 10 days for everyone, and then the 3 personal days for everyone, and then the 2 emergency days, because they don't roll over and they wouldn't count and wouldn't lead to the issue he's talking about.
Do personal days roll over or become sick days?
They rolled a sick on June 30th.
So it could, if they don't use those personal days, then it could roll into sick days, which then they would accrue the sick days like you're talking about, which we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, so it would be,
So-
it would be your 240s and above that would have that possible.
But if it's 10 for everybody, then that wouldn't happen.
So I have a question. When the state passed this bill, was it based on, like, it's not any different depending on however many days you work? So no matter what contract you're on, day-wise, the 10 stands to 13, right?
Yeah, so
Sorry, the 13
13's the max
stands.
regardless of where you are.
Of how many days you work.
Yeah, they don't care.
Because I think, to your point about the equitability, we, you know, hearing from constituents that had concerns about the difference between classified staff and certified staff, when you have when everybody gets the same amount, regardless of if you're working 280 days versus, what is it, 170 or whatever the number is, that doesn't seem as, if I read that email correctly, it doesn't seem as equitable to them. Am I correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Because it seems like I'm working less time, I'm getting all these breaks off, but yet I still don't, I have to do more with less, essentially, because I'm getting the same amount to cover the same span of time.
I think who are the 240-day employees that are getting the 13, or the 15 currently, moving it down to 12 proposed? Who are the folks
So
there?
your 240s are your administrators and anybody that has that 240-day contract. Your 260s are your school custodians, their central office workers, anybody that works year-round. One bookkeeper would be impacted by that, and then central office staff members would be as well.
Gotcha.
But I want to say that the policy that was presented to you was the policy that we have had in place for many years. So, like, it's not like we're advocating one way or another. We just reverted back to what the policy was before. So, we did not take any constituents into play because we rolled it back to what it was prior to. So, if we're going to 10, then that would be, like, we haven't talked to anybody about that.
Right, and so what you're saying, you just reset because the state changed the rules. Like, you just went back to what is gonna negatively impact us. And that's kind of my sticking point on the personal days piece. If the personal days roll over into sick days, then that can add up, and still, we would still be financially responsible for that. So that's kind of the sticking point for me on that.
Unless we make it 10 for everybody and 3 for everybody, then we don't have that issue, because we're not going over the 13.
So 10, 3, 3, 10,
10, 2, 3, 10, 3, 3, because the middle one doesn't roll over.
It
at
doesn't
all.
matter, we could do
As long as
whatever.
it's 13 for everybody.
So I do have a question. So, and I think I asked this question when we had our lengthy conversation the other day. With the personal, like, for example, where I work, I have personal days, but if I don't use them by July 1, I lose them. Is it a state rule that if you have to use it, that we have to roll over into sick in that capacity? Or could we say you have this many personal days to play around with? Because I think that the concern from what I've heard from people I've talked to is that the definition of emergency. And I think that, like, that is, I think depending on who you have sitting in Dr. Jones's chair, I think Dr. Jones would be very amicable about what that means. And, you know, this is truly an emergency situation, take your time, all those things. But depending on who may follow next in line, that could be problematic depending, and of course, depending on the board that's present and how they feel about changing the policy and all those concerns. But I think that seems to be, and we've talked about this, some of the anxiety that people may have about, will I get my time approved and I have to submit this, and what does that look like for me, and that sort of thing. So I would rather see a pot of personal days if it didn't roll over. But you're telling, if I remember correctly when we had this conversation, those have to roll over into sick
They do
via
because
state
of
policy.
the board policy. The board policy says that they roll to sick.
So that's our policy, not state policy, correct?
I don't believe it's part of 161. I mean, I
So if
can
it's
look it
our
up.
policy, we could
Change
adjust
it.
it however we want to, and then people can have their time.
The other thing that that the board could also consider is just eliminating emergency days altogether. If that process is stressful, and concerning to employees, you can see that several districts don't have emergency days at all. So we could eliminate those altogether as well.
And I know that we
Just
need,
that's an
But they
option.
don't
Yeah.
roll over, so there's no reason not to give them. If somebody qualifies, they could.
I guess what I'm saying is
apply
I've
for
heard
and
you
take
all
them.
say that employees have contacted you and they're concerned, they feel like it's stressful to apply for emergency days. So we could just eliminate emergency days, like that is also an option.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of eliminating them because they don't roll over and they don't impact us financially with this new law.
Well-
I think that they're not concerned about getting an emergency day. If they need it, I think they should be able to have an emergency day. I think we should leave emergency days as an option. I think what they're saying is they don't want to take the days away from personal. So I think my proposal of 10 days for everyone under sick, 2 days of emergency for everyone that we know don't roll over, won't impact us financially, and then 3 days of personal for everyone, it still meets that 13 total, stays under that number that Dr. Rayburn was describing, and I think it really kind of makes everyone happy. So,
And I was honestly addressing what Dr. Gould had said about just the stress of the process. That was what I was addressing, Ms. Springate, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, I hear what you're saying, and I think the financial burden is exactly why we're all
Yes.
concerned about it. So, and I would appreciate that, like, I've asked employees to reach out to me and because that way I can, our central office cabinet can prepare those things and have them addressed to you all as well. And I hadn't heard that from employees, and so, you know, I would really appreciate, of course, they can also copy you all on that, but I really appreciate it when they communicate that to me as well.
and I would also second that. I think that's really important to let your voice be heard, but also there's a lot of things that we don't have necessarily, this is a policy we have control over, but there's lots of day-to-day things that Dr. Jones seems to be very amicable about hearing feedback. I do have a question. So if our common goal is we don't want to
Dr. Gould,
cause.
can you pull your microphone closer
Sorry,
to you?
I'm not talking loud enough, okay.
Thank
Thank you. I think we could all agree that we don't want to cause any more financial burden because of the sick time. If we could look at this personal leave policy and say, okay, we're gonna change it, you use it or lose it, but we also don't want to put in a situation to where we're in strain with the district with like sub coverages and that sort of thing too. I know we want to be aware of that. But could we look at two different options that keep our sick time within the state passed policy, but also allow for our employees in the district to have a say, like a survey or a vote on which option they would choose? Like if our personal leave days can maybe not roll into sick, but you use them or lose them, or we have an emergency and personal leave policy, to your point about personal days doesn't matter, but it still costs us something because we're paying subs for those people that have to have coverage. Or do we have X number of personal days that don't have to have approval, no emergency days, and then your sick leave is at 10 or whatever it may be, to make sure that we keep everybody, like we say, keep our budget the way that it needs to be, or 11 or 12 or whatever we decide on. It doesn't matter that it matters that number, but you know what I'm saying. Like and then we wouldn't have to factor if it was the 2 personal days roll over into sick, then we could have it more if we wanted to be more in line with maybe, I think Clark County's the only one that would maybe not be in line with, meant everybody else we're doing better than. We want to be better than. We got to recruit and retain. So I would like to really turn this over to our employees in the district and get feedback from them, both classified and certified, to see, like, have a couple of different options. And then if we needed to put the personal leave policy on to revise it, then we can do that based on the options that we decide on, give that to the district, and let the employees basically choose and have a say in this capacity, because it's their time. I don't know if that's an option.
I would say that you have to have your accrual set by July 1.
Okay.
So that's gonna, like, if you add a 3rd personal day to the mix down the road, that's not gonna impact us, because your July 1's gonna be 2, you can add. But if you're
Yes.
gonna plan to take any away, we need to set that tonight, because we have to prepare, like, we have to have that ready to go July 1.
Yeah,
But-
and I think it
could
makes
do-
sense I mean, the reason that we're even doing this, like you mentioned, is because the state changed the rules. So the
It's
proposal.
not the teachers asked for this or anything.
Right,
No,
nobody
no, no,
asked
no,
for
no.
this, nobody asked for the change, the state changed the rule, which had a negative financial impact on us. So to me, it makes sense with these current proposals to go back to what it was before. We made the changes 2 years ago, right? That's when we made the change. So to revert back to what the policies were, and then I like the idea of addressing the personal leave, because the sticking point is that those personal days
Yes.
can roll over into sick and still have that financial negative impact. So if we look at these 3 now that are proposed, just reverting back to what they were before, to me that makes sense. And then we address the personal leave, because like you mentioned, we can add a day back and then also make the adjustment that it wouldn't roll over into sick time, because that's a board policy in Woodford County, right?
Yeah, I was looking on there, Don, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anything that requires us to roll a personal day over, other than our board policy.
And then could we do a vote to see what our employees would like to have? Would you like to have an additional personal day, or 2 additional personal days, whatever it may be, versus
Right,
the
like a
emergency
survey or
days?
something
Yeah,
else.
like a survey. So they have a voice in this, because I think that that's important for them.
According to the board policy for personal days, you have a limit of how many people can be out. So, and you can't take personal days before, around, any
Holidays.
extended break.
Yeah, there's some
So,
rules.
But that would relieve the
Sure.
burden of, like, I have to get this emergency approved. I just take a personal day and I don't necessarily have to share my personal information with,
Are we saying that we want, I'm just listening to you all.
Yeah.
Are we saying that staff does not want emergency, they'd rather have personal because personals are easier to take? That's what I'm
Yes.
hearing.
Yeah.
yes.
Less stringent.
Well, and I think that from what I've heard, it's now I have to, what I consider an emergency may be different than what someone else.
Yeah, but you also have personal days in those situations to where it might not be an emergency, it might be a personal.
Right, right, and
Personals
that's,
also have to be approved before
Yes.
use.
yes, yes.
So you can't wake up in the morning, have a flooded basement, and say that's a personal day.
And that's why I like to hear the voice of the employees to say, would you rather have this emergency time, or would you rather it be personal time? And then they can choose what seems to fit best, and it maybe one wins out of the other, or maybe,
And if they would prefer the personal day, then we could still adjust the policy that it
Yes.
wouldn't roll over into sick time and have the potential financial impact on us.
like, we could add more personal time and not have the impacts.
Well, just to be
Yes.
clear, so what we're proposing tonight is the people that have 11 or 12 sick days and 3 personal days are gonna be over that 13 mark. So we're gonna be on the hook for funding that and paying for that and taking care of that, because that's over the 13 days that the law just changed. So unless we leave sick at 10 for everybody, we're still gonna be on the hook for everybody who's getting the 11 or the 12.
I don't think so, because I think right now,
Yeah, that's exactly so, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it
right
was-
now, the way it is, because it rolls into sick if it's not used. But if it doesn't roll into sick if it's not used, then we don't have this accumulation that's over what the state.
We have it, we'll have it for anybody who has an 11 or a 12 and a 3.
Because
So
what we're
if it's
proposing,
10, 2,
yeah.
and 3, then it's 13 for everybody. It doesn't, we will not have that issue. But if somebody gets 12 sick days plus 3 personal, then it's gonna be over the 13.
Right, but that's why I was asking about the board policy, because right now our board, correct me if I'm wrong, this is how I'm understanding it, so that's where I'm basing all this information. So if I have a miscorrect understanding of it. So right now, if you have anything over 13, then we have to pay the extra percentage per the state laws. But right now, the personal days now currently, if you don't use them, get accumulated because of our current policy, our board policy, over into sick.
Right.
We
Over
make,
13.
we make that, but if we change the
But
policy,
we can't this year, right?
Yeah, we can.
if we change the policy to where that doesn't
Before
happen.
July 1?
Yeah, you would need to make the change about accumulation and when it rolls over before July 1.
But if we change, if we do make the change to 10, but then we change the personal policy, if that's what, I'm proposing that we get a vote on it, your feedback from the district employees, but if we change that with our personal leave, then it won't, we could add 10 days, we're not going to do that obviously, but we could add as many days as we wanted to, and it would impact the state policy that has been passed.
Because they
Right
don't
now, it
carry-
does.
They wouldn't carry
They
in
wouldn't
that
carry.
Right,
case.
but Ms.
Right.
Springate, I think what she's saying is she's not really even talking about the personal or emergency. If you look at
Total.
Woodford proposed sick days, what we're proposing, what we would be reverting back to is still 10 if you're a new teacher or new employee. Then after so many years, you get 11. And then after so many more years,
It's hours, so many hours.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I
Or
keep
days,
saying
I'm sorry,
that.
days. So many
Days.
days of right,
The
days.
teachers
Yeah.
would get the 10, 240-day employees would get the 11, and then 260 would get the
Right,
12.
so it wouldn't fix the issue for anybody
No.
except teachers. Teachers wouldn't be able to get this extra. We wouldn't be on the hook for the teachers, but we'd still be on the hook for everybody who's
Sure.
11 or 12. And
We would until we change the personal policy, but once we go
No.
back and change, because you can acquire up to 13 days, correct?
Yeah.
Without having to pay the extra to the state after whatever they accumulate. So if we kept it 10, 11, and 12 instead of 10 across the board for however many days that you work, because that's what I worry about too, to make it equitable, because if I'm working 280 days versus 109, is it 190?
So for teachers, they're at 188.
188,
And
okay,
then,
close to
um,
180.
Then we have, employees that are at 240 and 260, so.
So if I'm a 260 employee and I get the same amount of sick time as someone who's 188, that doesn't seem equitable. So I'm saying if we do the 10, 11, 12 proposed sick, when we get the personal right now via our own personal policy that is board-driven, right now, we would be in trouble because it rolls into sick. If we say you change the personal policy to say we use it or lose it, it doesn't roll into sick, you can leave the structure of 10, 11, 12, and you won't get into trouble.
That's correct. That's correct.
So then we would set this right now and then go back and look at the personal policy. But I'm asking too, like, would we want to add more personal days? Or would we want to keep the emergency at 3 and the personal at 2 and 3? Which would be more amicable to our district employees? Would you prefer a 3, 4? Or would you like to have 3 days or whatever? Because once we change that, if we
You can
vote
only
to,
go 3. Personal days can only, they cap at 3.
they cap at 3.
And
So
emergency
there-
days cap at 3.
Okay, so that still applies though, so we can do 3, we could do 2, 3 with the personal and keep the 10, 11, 12 to where it's more amicable for the more time that you have that you're working and still be okay. We're not going to get in trouble with those personal days the way we would have before if we changed the personnel policy.
But
Or
the
personal
But the
policy.
personal would have to be changed next year.
Right, it couldn't be this year. So
Correct.
we'd still be over this year if
So we'd
somebody
have to
who's
leave
a
it as
13
is
sick day
now.
person.
Until-
has
For a
to
year,
three.
yeah.
For a
we'd
year.
have to leave it
So
for
it
a
wouldn't
year.
solve the problem that he's coming to us to do the policy change for necessarily.
And let me say this, on the 10, 11, and of course, I was not here when this passed, but the 10, 11, 12, that's really about a sick day a month, right? That's like teachers work 10 months, so that's giving them 10 sick days, 1 per month. And then employees that work more, 11 months approximately, they're getting an additional sick day for that extra month that they work. And then your year-round would be getting 1 per month for 12. That's the idea.
Yeah, no, and I
That's-
do get it,
yeah.
but if it doesn't solve the problem of why we're changing the policy, then I'm not really sure what the point is.
Well, it's better than it is currently, because right now it's 13, 15, and 13, 14, 15, with 2 to 3 extra.
It's still over, and we're still responsible for the,
I think that would, but that's, I understand the need to change the policy. I'm just worried about, I just don't think it's equitable to say,
I see what you're saying.
you work 280 days, you get the same as somebody who works 188.
I mean, the ultimate thing is the legislators did not make a difference between a teacher and an administrator. You know, they just said they capped it at a certified employee, which is what the law is currently reading at. Like I said, I will assume that KPPA will follow suit in the next cycle to correct their, because it is, you know, it is the way that the teachers, you know, when they lobby for things, they use their emergency days during that time when teachers strike, like they went on strike, but we can't really strike, they use their days. That caught legislators' attention. That had a negative impact on every teacher in the state, because now, after that happened, we had to provide a notarized affidavit that said what we were doing. Since that has happened, we have laxed that law a little bit. We don't have to have a notarized piece of paper that when I had a sick day, I had to go get a notarized document from somebody who was a notary that said, I used my sick day, I didn't go protest on the state capitol. So like, it has changed, but legislators are still capping us at, you know, they're putting that responsibility back on the district. If the district is going to allow for more than 13 days, then that is what the legislators have done.
So when will we be able to revise the personal day policy?
Next year.
Next year, so after July 1? So we could revise it, but then it wouldn't go into effect for a full, another fiscal year, correct? Okay.
So I do have a quick question about the vacation policy. What's changed in the vacation policy?
So for the vacation policy, I provided you the same group of people, that what their vacation policy is now. Remember, this is just classified individuals that work 260 days. Nobody that's under 260 days receive vacation days. So I put the policy is 222 in every district in the state, 03.222. And so I went and looked at every single 03222 in the state. That includes holiday pay and that includes vacation pay if they do that. Some districts do not have 260-day employees. They have 240-day classified employees that work year-round. They get 20 non-contract days. That means they get 20 non-paid days. We have currently 20 paid days to make 260 days, plus 12 holidays that are included in there. The one that I didn't include was the general election, because most of the time if it's a presidential election, everybody gets that off. So I didn't include that in the general mix, and it only happens, you know, every 4 years. So you can kind of see the range. It's from, a lot of them are years 1 through 5, they get so many days, then years 6 through 10, they get an additional amount of days, and then up to a certain point based on kind of what we have structured. You know, Fayette County, they give 4 holidays to their classified staff members and 1 vacation day per month. That's what they do, and they max at 30. And then, so like up to 15 days in Bourbon County, 10 days for Clark County, no vacation days in Frankfort Independent, 10 days in Franklin County. Scott County has 10 days, and then after 6 you get an additional 1 up to 20. Mercer, Boyle, and Madison don't give vacation days. Montgomery County is similar, where they give 1 per month, and then they get so many more per years of experience. Grant County doesn't give any vacation days. Washington County is 10 up to 18. And then Shelby County is similar to ours, but theirs starts after 10 years instead of 5 years. So that is the breakdown of the vacation days. Our proposed one is that we go back to our policy, which read that full-time, let me pull it up quick.
So who are the 260-day classified personnel?
So those are your custodians, your school custodians, your maintenance technicians, maintenance workers, your computer technicians, technology are 260. We have 1 school bookkeeper that is 260. Your central office staff, so the 4 5 people in finance that we have, the front desk worker, the benefits specialist here, the admin assistant to the superintendent, then the account clerk 2 positions that exist at central office, and that's about it. There's about 70 employees total that this impacts out of the 600 employees that we have, over 600 employees that we have. So what the policy reads the same as it did last time with 1 strike through, and you can see that the strike through is in red here. That was never the intent of our budget committee to discredit the service in the district. So it used to read in a 260-day after 5 years that you get an additional day, but that discredits our service to individuals that are working, you know, as a IA or a school secretary that move up to a 260. They can still get that years of service counted toward them. So our new policy would read, provided the board approves it, full-time 260 contracts will get 2 weeks, which are 10 days. After 5 years or more service with the district, not carried outside, but within the district, you'll be accrued 1 additional day of service up to 20 days for each year of service. That would start July 1 if the board votes on it tonight, and I'll do the official reading at that point. And then taking the accrual time from, or accumulation from 80 days to 40 days, maxing that out. There are 9 employees that are, last time I checked, which was earlier last week, so that doesn't include any time that has happened this time or through June 30th. There were 9 employees that were 42 to 88 days. Those employees will have a special banked amount of time that, because they're over their 40, we're gonna honor those 80 days that we currently have. So from 40 to 80, you're gonna have a special pot of bank time that you can use, or you don't have to use them. It's never gonna get any bigger. It's never, it'll get smaller if you use them, but it's not gonna get any bigger. And at separation, like the board policy has written, we will pay out that separation.
What is the cost of, like the other one you said it would cost, you know, lots and lots of money because we're now responsible for anything over 13 days? What is kind of the cost involved with this vacation policy?
So if you look at it like an average person's daily rate is between $175 and $200 based off of their job, that would get that additional amount of pay. You take that and you multiply it by 40, that would be your max. So let me pull up so we'll just use an easy 200. So it's $8,000 per employee in addition to this policy that we are currently sitting at, if their daily rate is $200 a day. And so times that by 70, which not everybody has it, but like hypothetically, that's $560,000. We started the year at just over 2,500 days for the 70 people that have vacation days, and we're down to 1,400 days. So you take those 1,400 and times it by your 200, you know, we're at $280,000. And if you look at our audit, the audit does actually respond and hold that against us. Like that's part of our, it's one of the line items on there that was added to the audit like either last year or this year. It's on the audit as well. That's our financial liability. I mean, it's a financial liability. It's a good thing to offer 260-day employees, but it is a financial liability that we have.
Yeah. So this is a savings plus you're honoring the commitment that you made to the folks that had the extra days.
Yeah,
Like-
so we're not-
Transfer within
Okay,
the
that
system.
makes sense.
We're not, nobody's losing any days that they
Yeah.
currently have.
Thank you.
The difference is they will be not able to accumulate as much on July 1 like they currently could. So if somebody who's worked here 2 years no longer will get 200, or 20 days, sorry, 20 days, they'll get 10 days, versus somebody who's been here for 20 years will get 20 days instead of us having to figure out was it in a 260 day or not. So.
That
Do you,
makes sense.
do you have to read the policy before we can call the question?
This policy, is this the vacation
Vacation,
policy that
yes.
we're on now?
Yeah, that's the one the motion's made on right now.
No,
isn't
we're
it?
still, we're technically on the, oh yeah, we are on the
Yeah, it's
vacation
fantastic.
Are we
policy.
You
good
can
to-
read it.
are
I
we
prefer
good to
it.
read that?
Yeah, read
Lynn's
it.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read it.
All right, ready?
All right,
Yeah.
so full-time 260-day contract classified personnel shall be entitled to an annual 2-week vacation at time approved by the superintendent. Personnel employed for the full-time on personnel employed for the first time on a full-time 12-month basis shall be eligible for vacation during the second half of the first year of service. Full-time 260-day classified personnel who have 5 or more years of service with the district shall be granted an additional day of vacation for each year of service up to 20 days. Accumulation and carryover for full-time 260-day contract classified personnel may accumulate and carry over a maximum of 40 unused paid vacation days. Upon retirement or termination of employment for any reason, a classified employee shall be paid for his or her accumulated vacation time at a rate equivalent to the daily salary rate calculated from the employee's last annual compensation. In the event of retirement or resignation, vacation leave shall be prorated and accrued on a monthly basis. That is the reading.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And can I have a motion to approve the updated sick leave policy, second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
This is
He's got to
on-
read it.
Oh,
Yeah, you
so
got a
this is-
policy.
You have to read that.
The policy that is before the board today is 180, this is for classified 180 to 218 day employees will have 10 number of sick days per each year. 219 to 239 day employees will have 11 sick day per year. 240 to 260 day employees will have 12 for classified. Certified numbers will be 187 day employees to 219 days will have 10. 220 to 239 will have 11, and 240 day employees will have 12. That is your reading.
Have we make a motion on this?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
We did?
We just, yeah, you guys know.
Okay, good.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Can I have a motion to approve updated emergency leave policy, second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. Reading.
So this reading will be for classified and certified, with the exception of classified will be not read. It'll just say classified instead of certified. So the words are the same, but the difference between classified and certified. So the emergency leave number of days, full-time and certified employees shall be entitled to 3 days of emergency leave with pay each school year. Persons employed for less than a full year contract shall receive a prorated portion of the authorized emergency leave days calculated to the nearest 1/2 day. Persons employed on a full year contract but scheduled for less than a full work day shall receive the authorized emergency leave days equivalent to their normal work days. Emergency leave shall be granted for the following reasons: illness or injury to attendant to an immediate family member whose life is threatened by illness or injury, bereavement, death, or relative of a personal friend, disaster of a household vehicle, travel or personal emergency of the magnitude of tornadoes, fires, floods, etc., affecting the employee or his or her immediate family. This applies only in cases not covered by sick leave. Court or legal appearances as witness or to produce documents when the employee's presence is required by subpoena. This is not to include appearances and actions in which the employee is a part and the subpoena is obtained by or on behalf of the employee. This does not include jury duty. See policy 03-12737 or 2237 for certified, classified. Business 1 day shall be granted for business reasons for an emergency nature. For this purpose of this section, emergency shall mean a sudden unexpected happening, an unforeseen occasion or condition, a sudden or unexpected occasion requiring action. The employee may appeal the superintendent or designee's decision to the board. Prohibition, emergencies leave shall not be used for personal leave covered under sick policies, sick leave policies for participation in recreational activity, for vacation, college visits, attending fraternal functions, seeking other employment, or rendering services for pay. Request for leave. Emergency leave must be requested through the superintendent or designee, who will determine if the leave request meets the board criteria. Statement: persons that emergency leave must file a personal statement upon the return to work stating the specific reason for their absence. Accumulation emergency days not taken during the school year shall not accumulate. That is your reading.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Can I have a motion to approve the updated salary policy, second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCown.
Board, this is just for classified employees. If overtime is approved, so this is only talking about overtime, compensatory time may be granted at the rate of 1.5 hours for each overtime hour worked and taken in the same work week, or banked for future use. At time of separation, any compensatory time unused will be paid at the appropriate rate of pay. Compensatory time may not exceed 240 hours. The only discussion that I would have is the 240-day or 240-hour is another huge liability, but that is the maximum that we are allowed by law, and because there's no other policies that relate to this, I just put the maximum to have a discussion with the board.
Anybody have any
So,
questions or discussions on that?
I guess my question, like, and I understand the concern as far as like, you know, I've talked to some custodial staff about like if they have to go out and check something on the weekend or if a pipe bursts or something like that, like I think that they should be compensated for their time, absolutely. I do wonder if this puts to Dr. Rayburn's concern about the 240 hours, where does that put us as far as the financial situation that we just try to work to negate? And is there any capacity for us to work with supervisors or create a procedure to where they are, I know they have to do their job, right? Like they have a very pivotal job. When I say they, I mean anybody who maybe this might impact. But is there a way to limit this to protect their time and the well-being of their employees? But is there also ways that they could, I want to meet in the middle for everybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I
think
want them
this-
to be compensated, but I do worry, also if they're being asked to do this many times, like we need to look at, do we need to hire another person, or like nobody should be asked to work that amount of time over what they have
This is just
acquired.
an alternative to taking overtime pay.
Okay,
It's still at an overtime rate. They would still be getting this, if they work 1 hour, they get an hour and a half of comp time.
Mhm.
That would be used at any time that they would want. We could not restrict when they would want it. It's also important that this says if approved and may be granted, that is not shall be granted, or is, like if overtime is approved. So the concerns that you're having are, one, is the overtime approved? If there's a pipe burst, yes, overtime's approved. And then we have the option either to offer the employee pay or a comp time instead of using vacation time, or instead of using some other time, they would have the ability to comp that for a later use. This provides us with the flexibility to have that. I think that's more of the trust that we need to have in the leadership of the district. And this is new, so I understand there's anxiety around it. But it's all ifs and not shalls.
so you're concerned about that word, thank you.
Got it.
Time may not exceed over 240 hours, with
Yeah,
the
so
concern
law
is the
says that
liability.
We are, like, normally I believe it's like 400 and something, but because we're a public agency, we're only allowed to cap at 240
Okay.
hours.
So they may choose to take, or does their supervisor choose for them?
It says that,
The employees choose. This is,
Yeah.
They-
Yeah,
they
the
choose.
the employees choose. This
Okay.
is a
This
choice for the
is-
employees. You're either gonna pay out time and a half for each
Or-
overtime worked,
Gotcha.
or you're gonna give them time and a half in time off.
Okay, I
It's
think
just,
I
Are you
was-
paying them cash, or are
Are
you
you
letting
paying
them
them?
take time off, and it's their option?
Their option, I'm sorry, I misunderstood, I apologize, so
it's not
that's,
a shall.
it's not, that's what you were talking about with the shall, okay. I was flipping it to the supervisor's favor instead of the employee's
Yeah.
favor, so
So, like,
that all sounds good, thank you.
The first statement there is the only shall that is in the whole policy, which is not being changed. Overtime work shall be approved. It's not guaranteed, it shall
Mhm.
be approved.
All right, any other questions on that one?
Thank you for clarifying that, I apologize that I misread that, so.
No, with state employees, you get like this thing after 240, you get like a block 50 or
50.
what is it?
Block
Ambrose?
40 or something.
Does that
50.
apply to this? Will that be, will we?
I was just checking with Don, I don't think, we don't get anything above that 240, like, we'll just have to pay overtime if, as they reach their 240, if they aren't using it, they'll just get a overtime pay.
Okay.
So this gives us more flexibility in how it's utilized. and the employee more flexibility in how it's utilized, what works for their benefit.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve creation of positions?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan.
So I will start with Ms. Francis, who is at a conference right now, who's joining us virtually. You go to number 4. So on the agenda item tonight, we have lumped all of the creations into there. So let me pull those up while Dr. Ribbons is pulling up Tracy. The side button, number 4, on the other one, yeah, side button. All right, so this is related to another law that has changed that has a financial impact on our district. Thank you. And Ms. Francis is going to, Ms. Francis, can you hear us? Hang on, let me go make sure it's up there. She'll get talking as soon as she gets there.
Never thought you'd be sweating in here, did you?
All right, Ms. Francis, can you hear us?
It's kind of
I
nice,
can.
isn't it?
Can you hear me?
Those doors are open, that's probably.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
There's your-
we can.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So, you all have spoke a lot about legislation, so this goes right into legislation that came through for, caseload and case management, sizes. This is the first time this has been updated in a while in Kentucky. But when you have a teacher that teaches special education, you have 2 areas you must look at. It is how many students can they have in a classroom and teach at one time, and then how many students can they have on their caseload. That's different. That's how many records they can manage, how many ARC meetings they can hold, those kinds of capacities. In Kentucky, for a long period of time now, it's always been that if you are kindergarten through 6th grade, you were considered, if you taught learning and behavior disorders, that you could have 15 students on your caseload. They have changed that, which is to the better for some of our needs, and it is no longer that 6th grade group. That age range and grade level goes between kindergarten and 5th grade, and the 15 for learning and behavior disorders typically, now I'm gonna get into some other things here, but is 15. Then sixth grade through 12th grade, for that learning and behavior disorders group, and degree, you can have 20 on your caseload. Now, the caveat to this is a little different in that they have taken 2 disabilities that we, haven't had this for, in the capacity I'm about to explain. So they took the area, an eligibility area of autism, and they have said that if you are in a class and you are teaching the class size, you can only have, if you have, let's say, 10 kids in your room, you can only have 8 of them have autism, which then lowers the number of students you can be teaching at a time in your room. If I have a mix of disabilities, and the majority is what it is, the majority of one area takes the number of students that you can teach for the area of autism. So that's 8 students at a time. That's all you can teach. If you have, let's see, if you have 7 kids, let's go this route. So if you have 7 kids and you have 4 of them with autism, then that automatically lowers that group of kids that you can teach to 8 kids at a time. Whereas if you had learning and behavior disorders or specific learning disabilities, which falls under the learning and behavior teaching certificate, you could have up to 10 students in there. With the 8, there is the piece, and we've had the opportunity or the capacity to put before the board and submit to the Kentucky Department of Education for a waiver. And with that is, it used to be broken down into, if I'm in the MSD world and I could only have 10 kids on my caseload, then I could only have 10 kids in my room as well. 10 was the magic number, okay? So when we're looking at MSD, if I did a waiver for that group, that classroom, I could have up to 12 kids in that classroom if I add additional paras. And there was this chart, and I still have that chart, but that chart has long been gone off of the KDE websites because they've been working on this for a long time. But there was a chart and a formula and everything, and we followed it. With the new regulation, the reason we are asking for additional MSD teachers, so moderate and severe instructors, is because they teach our most intense group of students, meaning those are our students with lower cognitive abilities, and they need functional behavior and adaptive skill development, and we need to work on their functional skills for math and reading, just street signs and those kinds of things. So that group of kids, if you had autism and your IQ or your cognitive score placed you within that FMD or moderate to severe range, then you could be placed in that programming. If you have autism and your IQ is above 55 or higher, you could be with the teacher for the learning and behavior disorders, so the OBD certification. Which did not change our class sizes really or anything at that point, and it didn't change our caseload sizes. The reason this is different for us, and this isn't really different for us in particular, it is across the state that we have more students coming to us with autism than we do the identification of a cognitive developmental delay or an over time determined cognitive disability. So we're not getting just the typical back in the day placement of functional mental disability or that is that 55 or lower score. We're getting the diagnosis of autism, and within that range you could be anything from a 34 IQ to 120 IQ, and 85 to 115 is considered average, if that gives you a reference point for understanding the 55 score. So that's our most intense group of students, anything 55 or lower. So when we look at our numbers of students across the districts in our programming, we have a class at Huntertown for moderate and severe that we refer to as our MSD programming. We have 10 students there, but we only have 4 students with the eligibility area of autism in that program. So based on the new matrix that they have given us, that program is, we don't have to look at only having 8 students in a class there because we don't have the majority of the students in that room having the eligibility area of autism. So we are being very diligent in ensuring that 10 is the magic number in that location. And we are going to have to be very aware of any incoming students or students with that are newly placed on where they go for the elementary, the determined elementary program. Southside used to be our only program that served our moderate severe students, and we had 2 classrooms there. A couple of years ago, we determined as a district and as an administrative staff that we would split those 2 classrooms up to place one at Huntertown and one at Southside, based on our numbers, our needs, and the overarching needs of our students and staff. So it was looked at from multiple angles. Looking at the population we have right now and the number of students we have right now, Huntertown, we have capped at 10, but at Southside, we are going to start the year at 14. That meaning 7 of those 14 have the eligibility area of autism, which automatically lowers that case or that class size to 8. And if you do the waiver and you do the with the para, you can do +2, which increases that to 10 kids. Either way, we will still be over cap there based on the classroom size, because the key to this programming is that our group of students in that programming, they receive most of their day, and when I say most, it's really more than most of their day in that resource setting to get their instruction. We do make sure they go out for some things as they're able to go out, but that may be for one special class, or it may be for PE, or it may be for art or something like that. But all of their academics, all of their functional skills occur within that room. That then leads me to, we had 5 positions in the district, and we've been able to make some things work with that 5th position over the last 2 years. But this year, we're going to have to put that 5th position at Southside, not only to support the number of students we have, but the need. So our need is very intense there, and we need to make sure we are staffing appropriately for the need as much as the number in regards to some things there. So that is the Huntertown and the Southside piece. By placing that 5th teacher position there, who historically had been at our high school up until a couple of years ago, and we were able to move them to our middle school and to our elementary to support. Our middle school is at 11 students, and 5 of those students are diagnosed with autism, which puts us at the 8, and if we do the waiver and we get the waiver, it could be 10. And then at the high school, we are at 14 students, and 7 of the students there have autism. Now, I will say this, I can do the waiver and I can submit the waiver to KDE. The waiver comes with a lot of intense focus, because we are saying to complete that waiver is that there's no academic impact or effect on doing the waiver on our students, or there's not a need there, and we're able to meet the need with the waiver. I'm not saying we can't meet the need with the waiver and with the para, but I am going to say, looking at our numbers and our student population, without the addition of the additional two staff members to support, one for our middle school and one for our high school, we are not going to be in compliance with state regulation, and we will not be in compliance with KDE. And then there is also, we're gonna struggle to meet the need definitely, at the high school and with some of our middle school programming as well. So that is a very long story and a lot of words, and so I'm not really there to read the room, so if you have questions, definitely what are your questions? What can I?
So the board agenda tonight is to approve 2 additional positions, one for the middle school, one for the high school, as Ms. Francis has said. That 5th position is going to be absorbed into Southside through the district procedures, so we need 2 additional positions for that one.
I believe you've already answered this, Ms. Francis, but just to be very clear, is there any way that you could shift the populations, shift the students, so that we would be in compliance without adding 2 new positions?
You know me well, Ms. Springate. I have tried that with every kind of magical wand I have, and I can't shift it to where we would be in compliance with especially with the number at 2 locations.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have, that's where we're at.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question to that. This proposal is asking for 2 full-time classroom teachers, and you mentioned pairs. Where do we need to include pairs too?
That was explaining if I do the waiver with the state, then they're saying that, okay, if you have 8 students in your classroom, do you have the 2 paras to put in there with the 8 students?
Got
So
you,
that we
okay.
can say you can have 10, sorry.
So-
I understand, yeah.
So instead of going the para route, we are looking at adding instructional teachers to the middle school and high school, and then pulling that 5th person back to Southside to meet the need there, correct? I just want to make sure I'm following along
Yeah,
with
you're
the information.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a lot of numbers.
No, and I've lost my phone, so therefore I can't log into my computer, so I'm kind of straining to see the information and sharing with Ms. Springate as well. So just want to make sure I was under, because I'm a visual learning, I just want to make sure I
Anybody else
get.
have- oh, sorry. Anybody else have
No,
any questions?
just clarifying.
All right. All those in favor?
We're not done yet.
Oh, we're not?
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
all one agenda item, I think, so.
Sorry, I wish we were.
Get us to the part where we are
Okay,
done.
so the other things that are on the agenda items is to increase our OT services for students from 6 hours to 7.5 hours, just 1 position. We currently have 1 full-time and 1 6-hour. That's to take them both up to full-time for additional needs within the district. The third one there is because of attrition, we were able to lose 1 position. Well, we have lost a position because of reorg. So now we're asking to reinstate that position that was lost, but instead of funding it through general funds, we're gonna fund it through IDEAB, which has already been approved. We just need the board to allow for that position to be recreated. The next one here is to approve the additional nurse position that Healthy Kids Clinic has approved for us. We are at currently on our MOA is a 50% cost share there. This nurse position would cover Safe Harbor, the Little Legacy Hive as needed, additional programming that may occur in any of the building needs. Healthy Kids Clinic has recognized that we need an additional nursing staff member, so that is why we have to have the board's approval for that one. So on the agenda items tonight, you will have 2 MSD positions, increase your OT services, reinstate the project clerk position, create a school nurse position, and then amend the salary schedule for those positions. There was 1 clerical error that is also being amended tonight. It said 182, but that position's actually 185. Has been since it was created, and that was a clerical error. So that is what is on the agenda for this evening for vote.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, Dr. Raven, I want to thank you for all the hard work you've done on various subjects tonight, making us aware so that we,
I'm not done yet.
well, so far, thank you for what you've done so far. I might thank you or I might not for whatever else you have, but go ahead.
All right. All those in favor?
Actually, I have a comment before we go forward. So this is an item, along with my very long meeting that I had with everybody the other day that I asked lots of questions about, because I want to be aware that we have taken, but like, shifted around positions, and, you know, people, we've had to make significant changes to staffing and budget. And so just a follow-up question that I just thought about as we were talking, in addition to all the other questions that I had about all this. As far as the general fund / IDEA, B, and I know the reason why the general fund's there, even though it's not coming from the general fund, I get that process. But if for some reason we lose the funding from IDEA or our population shifts again, is this a position that we would look at removing once again, because we had it removed, to where it doesn't go back into the general fund costs?
Yes, we've already removed it once. We will evaluate it as that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, just to make sure that that was clear. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve use of emergency substitutes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan.
This is a general thing that we do every single year to allow us to apply for emergency subs. That doesn't mean that's our priority. That doesn't mean that's our will. That is just giving the district the ability to use an emergency sub certification if needed.
And this is something that we've done since around before, you may not be able to answer, but around COVID time, is that when we really started to use that emergency sub?
That's when it was required for us to go through board policy. Yeah.
Okay, and it will be included in the salary schedule, or maybe it is and I've missed it?
It's
This-
already a line item. Like they'll still get the general sub pay that they would if they were, like the base pay of $120 that they would currently get. So it's already in the salary schedule.
Okay,
You're just allowing the district to apply for emergency subs if needed.
And can I ask how that works? So if we have, in need of a sub, who are we calling first? Who are we calling second? When are we calling the emergency subs?
Our preference is based off of the need of the school. The school makes that decision based off of their sub pool that they have. We love to start with our retirees, and then we love to go with a certified teacher who's just a sub. But I can't discredit that somebody who's been in the workforce for a long time that has got an emergency certification is not a good sub either. So it's really the schools request who they want, not us giving them who they can choose from. So we give them the pool, this is their pool, but subs in the district the schools normally have their pick of subs that they choose from.
So are they aware of who's an emergency sub, who's a retired teacher? Is that listed when they get their sub list to call?
We don't tell them who is that, but they can quickly figure that out.
I feel like that's something we probably should disclose, because if we're doing this as an emergency kind of certification, and I'm not doubting that they're qualified folks, I'm just saying if this is someone who's an emergency substitute teacher, I would think would not be the first person that you would need to call as far as experience, as far as the education, as far as the certificates.
We'll
like
do
all
our
of the
best.
things.
We can give that information to this, like, there's only so much we can give on a call. So this board item is just to allow us to have that if
needed.
it's not the procedure on how we do subs.
All right. All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Can I have a motion to approve FY27 insurance renewal?
Aye. I mean,
Yep.
motion.
Motion.
Sorry.
Motion by Ms. McCown.
I was
Ambrose
going
threw
too
you off
fast.
because he didn't say motion.
I don't see it.
It's on the very bottom.
Oh.
So this is one of the attachments.
And I'll
that came
second
through.
it, just so we have a second.
do that?
All right.
This is
I'm not
the
thinking
Houchins
of
agreement
this.
that, for our liability insurance. It is attached to the board agenda item. This was a late ad. We were waiting on a secondary company to offer their bid. That didn't come through, so we are presenting the board with the bid that was given to us by Houchins with a different company. We were using Liberty Mutual, but it appears that Liberty Mutual is pulling out of a lot of Kentucky school districts, and so we are seeking your approval for the other company that I'm pulling up right now. so that-
Obsidian.
Obsidian, yeah, which is becoming the new Liberty Mutual for everybody to use in the state. You will see that the majority of the claims works in our favor for the deductibles, where we had the high wind, high hail deductible. Then it went to a 1%. Now we're down to 25,000 for those deductibles, and hopefully we don't ever have to use them, but that is there. The difference in the cost is, if you look at the breakdown, it is the cost of workers' comp and the use of the transportation policy is higher than what it was in the past. So it all equals to be about a $15,000 increase for general liability and then a little less than 20 for the workers' comp, and then like a couple $100 for the cybersecurity, which is always needed to prevent from those lovely emails we get.
And
So we're
Houchins-
asking for your approval for this, and apologize for the late ad.
Houchins did tell us, we met with them and talked with them about, continued ways that we can improve our systems to make this even better. But the reality is, a lot of districts saw a 15 to 30% increase in their, so we actually got off pretty well. It's a trend across the state. So we are looking at what training and what things we can do differently. But I was actually pleasantly surprised that it didn't go up more.
It's good.
Yeah.
I do have a follow-up question about the wind and hail. It says hail only, is wind not included?
It's included above.
On the first sheet, it's included.
I'm looking on the second sheet, the
So
back side of
if
that.
you remember, we had to purchase additional through 25-26. We had to purchase that additionally. It was an additional coverage. It's not an additional coverage. It's part of our current proposal this year. So like that first column,
Yeah.
that first column is the 25-26 for Liberty Mutual, and that is what we paid. This is included up here in the hail and wind right here.
Why does it say hail only, though? I know that I see that it's where it's included on page 1, wind and hail deductible.
So it's basically saying we paid, so last year we paid, is it 50,000?
Yeah.
We paid 50,000 for that, but this company is
Oh,
giving
to
it to
buy
us.
down, I got
Gotcha.
you,
That
okay.
was confusing.
I was like,
It
wait a
is
minute.
confusing, yeah.
I was confused as well, so.
It was in the only one.
It's up at the top, so that is included.
Okay, that makes sense now. Thank you. Sorry about
All
that.
right, any other questions on this one? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, can I have a motion to approve contracts?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan, and open up for discussion.
I just wanted to discuss, on, the contracts, the one for KEDC. How many educational development corporations do we currently belong to?
So they are technically the only educational development cooperative that we belong to, but we also belong to the Central Kentucky Educational Cooperative. And so our special ed support, along with other instructional supports, come through CKEC, but a lot of our purchasing and our support for technology comes through KEDC. So
So
that's why I'm recommending that we remain with both.
2 educational cooperatives?
One is, so KEDC, as you said, it's the corporation, so they give us the discounted purchasing. They go through that whole process to get all of the bids and all of that approved so that we can get the best rates possible on purchasing. In addition, they, when I've asked our staff, what services do we receive that we feel like, like the pros and cons of both, so KEDC helps us with purchasing. They help us with technology maintenance. They help us with technology purchasing and also different training than CKEC provides. And then CKEC primarily provides that special ed support from the state. It's so that we really believe that both are very valuable to what we're trying to accomplish.
So the KEDC membership, just bottom line, is 6,000, and then you do add-ons for different things?
We do.
So about how much did we spend there last year, any idea?
I do not have that.
You may know. And so the other one, do you know how much it costs per year?
So KEDC is part of the Purchase Pros, which used to be KEPC. I think I got those letters in the right order. So that allows us a purchasing ability to purchase different things from different people. So because they're a purchasing cooperative, we can use all of their bids. So for me to tell you the exact number that we have used for KEDC, it would be very hard for me to tell you because a lot of the purchasing we had to be a member of KEDC to even make that purchase. Just like, so for instance, I know that we have CDWG, which is a technology corporation. We can't purchase that from them if we're not a member of KEDC, or using Vivacity, which is where we purchase all of our Chromebooks from. We would have to go through the bid process ourselves when KEDC's already done that for us. That's just one element, the purchasing element of it. And then they also offer, like CKEC does offer instructional support as well, but they offer additional lenses through the siloed communities that are, you know, like the director of technology, the director of finance, the HR director. They offer training specific to them. And so we're getting a lot more instruction from KEDC by having them for a $6,000 cost. We don't pay for that additional cohorts and additional instructions or anything along those. They're also one of the only cooperatives in town that have a Kagan instructor that we can utilize that at an extremely reduced rate for our new teachers if we want to send them to Kagan strategies. But we have to be a member to get that reduced rate. So while we have, you know, all of the cameras that have been added to all of our buildings, all of the door access that has been added to our buildings, those are services that we have been allowed to use from KEDC. They also install it, but I can't give you an exact number because it's so many different elements into that one.
Gotcha, but it's a $6,000 like membership fee.
Yeah, so we're
And
paying
that's
for
the
the
Eastern-
membership.
And that's the Eastern Kentucky Education Cooperative. What about the
So-
CKEC? Is that the
KDC
central?
covers 77 or 78 districts. It's not just,
Yeah.
it was originally started as the Eastern Kentucky Cooperative, but they have expanded to 77 or 78
80
districts.
now,
Oh,
actually.
are
I
they
just
at
asked
80?
the other
So
day.
the
Yeah.
CK one, is that the Central
Yeah,
Kentucky
so
one?
It
CKC
is.
is that is our special ed required, so you have a special ed required cooperative that every district is supposed to be a part of. The state tells us who that is. CKC provides us that special ed services for the district. And they also have like the Deeper Learning Grant all ran through CKEC. They do offer some instructional things that, you know, we don't subscribe to for the KEDC realm because CKEC gives it to us for free.
So how much is the membership fee for the Central Kentucky Education Cooperative?
I don't know. I would have to look that up.
Is it probably around the same as the other one?
We'll get that for you.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you. I'm not 100% sure on how much CKEC is. Because it's a mandated one,
Yeah.
we
I
just
only
normally
ask
sign it
because-
and move on.
Yeah, I only ask because I understand it's at $6,000 and then whatever else is spent and whatever benefits are got. I get it, but I only ask because I know at one time we were only members of one educational cooperative, we weren't two. And so I guess I'm just trying to see if, in my mind, it's like belonging to Amazon Prime and Target Circle. Like, do I really need them both? Maybe we do, I don't know. I
You
just-
do
Might not be
need
able-
them both.
I was
You
like,
need them both,
You
Sharon.
might not be able to purchase things you need if you're only a member of one.
I'm just saying, we're getting
I
calls,
and I
we're
thought,
looking
you
at all
know,
of them.
that's something that we had talked about, a couple of you had talked to me about previously, and that's why I asked our staff, you know, let's do the pros and cons. Let's look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the benefit versus the cost. And we were all pretty adamant that so that's why I brought it to the board, because
Okay.
it does.
I think that was the only real question I had under the contracts.
Okay. Anybody
It's
else?
KPC, not KEPC. It's KPC. Kentucky
Whatever the
Purchasing
acronyms are.
Cooperative, Whatever it is.
I just have a blanket question, and I'm sure you've looked at this, but I just wanted to ask it on record. We are, with our new contracts, we're complying with all the new policies that have come out of the state and, you know, things that have passed legislative-wise in the last couple of years, correct?
Do you have any
Can you be
specifics?
specific with that?
Well, I mean, there's several on here, so I wanted just to make sure that they've all been reviewed for,
I think the difference that you're seeing is you're seeing more contracts because we are actually funneling them through the superintendent's office, which is the way that it should have always been. Hasn't been the practice. It's part of our strategic plan to get back to how it's supposed to be. So you're starting to see more. It's not that the wording has changed, it's that
We're bringing them to you.
The procedure is
Okay.
to go to the board approval, and the superintendent can make it a signed signature.
so has all of them been, because I know we've had several changes at the state level policy-wise. I just wanted to make sure that everything is in accordance with the changes that have been
Anything
made.
that we ask, we send straight to Dawn.
Okay.
Actually, it's Emily, not Dawn. And Emily, now that she's off of maternity leave, handles all of those questions for us and You know, like the Centos one, we've been going back and forth with Centos for about 4 or 5 months to get their legal team and our legal team on the same page, and then that's presented to you. So we are
Okay.
running contracts through
Through our legal representation, just to make sure. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask that, just in general.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve school fees?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. McCowan, second by Mr. Wilson.
Y'all are messing it up tonight.
And
As long as we get it done, we don't care what.
let's forget, did you, anybody have any questions on the school fees?
So I want to talk about school fees real
Okay,
quick.
perfect.
So one of the things that you don't see on there that you will see on next month's agenda, so I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about that now. So remember, we are spending time fixing policies and updating policies and procedures. So we had a new finance director come in, and so it is taking us time to make sure that we're in compliance and everything, and Dr. Ribbons is doing a great job. But one of the things that I realized between my little stint in the finance realm as the finance director is that each school treated school fees differently. And so one of the things that I've been working with our bookkeepers on, and then Dr. Ribbons came on, and he's working with our bookkeepers on, is streamlining what we say is a school fee versus what we say is a field trip versus what we, you know, like there are certain things that are really a school fee that you need to have an instrument. You need to pay for that school fee to reimburse. You need a Chromebook, you're gonna assist with reimbursing the district for that Chromebook. Those are school fees. A field trip isn't necessarily needing to line item what those school fees are. So one of the things that will be coming for next month is a blanket statement that is just on field trips and instructional activities throughout the day. We're gonna cap it at $50 a student per activity. That will cover all of the different bases. Fee waivers still cover all of those things, but this allows for what happened this year when bookkeepers got snowed out or got rained out of a field trip, and they line itemed, they were going to the Louisville Zoo, or they were going to this one, it was gonna cost them this amount of money. Well, then they came back and they're like, well, we can't go back anymore, so now we have to adjust that. So this blanket statement will allow for schools to pivot and adjust based off of their need. We didn't have that flexibility in the past. So in that reality, we had to go and issue 60 checks for $6. We've spent more on that trip than what we actually occurred. Like we took in more expenses on that one. So this will allow the schools to shift, and you won't see all those line items moving forward. Again, that's a change that we have to get into. The other thing that you'll see is there are some fees, 3% fees, because every credit card requires a fee. No matter where you go, no matter what building, anything, you go to Target, you do your Target online, you do your Amazon Prime, those fees are built into that price. So the high school is taking the approach that if you pay in cash, we're going to give you that discount. If you pay on Parent Square or through Infinite Campus, depending on which one we use, you will get that fee for that transaction. So you can still pay through check, you can still pay through cash. We'll still take it that way. You're going to get the discount. You know, like some businesses in town, like if you pay in cash, you don't have to pay as much as if you pay by credit card. So that is what you'll see at the high school level. Again, we can only fix what we can fix, and right now we didn't add one more thing to our plate to fix the fees this year, but you will see this for next month to have that blanket statement to allow schools the flexibility in the future if an event that they have line itemed is not able to occur, and we don't have to reschedule it or whatever.
So to be clear, and I asked lots of questions about this too. They were on the phone with me for quite a while. So with the line item, the schedule, rescheduled, that's just, you could still request your money back if the field trip never does happen. You don't lose that cost. It's just now you can do something different with that money instead of having it as a line item for that specific
Yeah,
field
so
trip.
it would be less the credit card transaction fee though.
Yeah, because the transaction happens. And I did ask questions about those fees, and I appreciated the explanation, as well as not every fee was the same for every school. So I think this is an important shift to be able to put everybody kind of on the same page. So thank you for answering all my questions.
Mr. Wilson, I'm done now, unless Ms. Springate has something.
I do have something, because I wanted to pull this off so we can talk about it. So, what I wanted to talk about is, I appreciate having all the fees like together for all the schools. I don't understand why they're so different. Yeah, for instance, Northside has a tech not to exceed $125. Is that per student? What is that?
Again, these are one things that we did, we chose purposefully not to tackle, and all they do is copy paste from year to year. So while that is not the tech fee is on a separate page. That is probably something that has been copied from year to year, and I need a little bit of grace from you all to let us move forward. We'll get it fixed for next year. We did not have the ability with the new finance director and, you know, learning Munis alone to get to that level, the granular level of saying, like, you don't need to put that on here anymore. We've got that covered at the district level. We just, I promise you, it'll be fixed for next year, but we can't do it this year.
That's okay. I just didn't want to approve something that we didn't discuss that's not really going to be accurate. I just think we need to have those conversations. And then also, then we have the expectation that that's something you're looking at, because I didn't know that before we pulled it off and had discussion.
Dr. Ribbons and I, like, we have a monthly meeting with our bookkeepers and our account clerks. It meets every payday on the 25th, and this is one of the items that we are constantly reviewing. We just didn't have enough time before the school year started, so that, you know, band has already started, football's already started, these sports are already coming into play, and they need to start those fees. So we have to understand that we're not going to charge them $125 for a technology fee. We're going to charge them the appropriate $25 fee.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. I just think that before we approve things, like, if you just said that to us, hey, and it might be that we want to do the agenda a little bit differently and have the superintendent just go over the consent agenda. So here are the donation requests. Go over this one, this one, this one. Just, it doesn't take long. You can kind of go through it, and then you could explain things like that so that we're aware and we're not voting on something that's not accurate. And then the other question I had is, with the Chromebook structure fee, I really think we need to do a deep dive into why the $75 fee. Is that too much, considering you can buy one of these computers now probably for $75 on Amazon? The replacement, $200 for a new one. How's our rotation looking? How are these things getting paid for? What kind of CATS money do we have?
So if you remember, that was already discussed at the beginning of this year. We had a whole presentation on technology, and I discussed those type of items. A typical device is costing us $400 to $450 for just one device now. So it's not $75.
For a Chromebook?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that
Every
seems like
device
a
that you
lot.
all are using, every device that every teacher has, because of the way that inflation has taken, everything has gone up, but technology has taken huge impact
Well,
on.
refresh my memory. What is our rotation schedule? How often are you buying them? Who's paying for them? How much in fees are we taking in that we're not putting back out? Are we breaking even? Are the fees too much? Because if the fees are too much and we're just building up a little bank account for technology, I don't think that that's appropriate. I think that, when we switched to Chromebooks, we looked at the fee schedule and changed those numbers, because obviously an Apple iPad was more expensive and had
It's
it was just a
interesting
different
because they're
level.
not now. They're actually
No,
less
no.
expensive. So if you, I just totally lost my train of thought. You jump in and I'll remember.
Yeah, so I will say that we are actively, like,
Yeah.
we had a conversation today about reevaluating our rotation cycle. I don't feel comfortable talking about it tonight because it's not 100%, and I want to make sure that we have accurate numbers before we do that. If you read the thing, we have not increased since 2017, I believe, is when our last time we updated our fees for Chromebooks. They have remained the same since 2017, and the cost of a Chromebook in 2017 was $200. So we have not increased our fees, and that's a commitment that I'm doing my absolute best to look at every spot to not take the additional cost on a parent of a student, because I want them to be able to afford the technology as well. The rate of receiving is about 30%. That's the rate that we're receiving, but yet we give 100% of our devices away. We don't hold it against the kid. We don't take the device if they haven't paid their fees. They don't stop at graduation and not get to walk across the stage. So we are actively doing everything we can. We get some CATS money, but next year they're saying CATS money is not gonna be what it was, $21 a kid this year. That's gonna impact us. We have to adjust, and we're gonna pivot. We're gonna do it as quickly as we can, but we have to do it as reasonably as we can too, to know.
And think back to the conversations we've had about the budget where we've not been able to even purchase technology at the level that, so we're definitely not holding an account of money like in technology. Like we truly are not doing that. Like, you know, along with bus purchases, like we've not purchased new buses, it's the same. We've got the replacement, like we're replacing, but we're not, like we have a huge need there as
We
well.
probably need to pull that out. It used to be a separate line item in the budget. Every month, it was, this is how much we took in with technology Chromebook fees, this is how much we spent out for repairs, that kind of thing, just so we have an idea. And it could be that maybe we need to reevaluate, you know, having devices in the hands of you know, some of the younger students. I don't know. I just think it's a conversation we need to have, especially, you know, maybe we need to look at and evaluate the number of employees in the tech department, or the number of hours, or the,
We
you know, all
have,
kinds
yeah.
of things I think should
So
be
I
on
will
the
say
table.
that technology
Operationally, we
has,
have done that,
has
yes.
lost 2.5 positions this year. So we have cut positions in technology while still maintaining all of the devices that we have to maintain, which is over 7,000 devices that we have to individually touch, 4,000 plus devices every summer to get them ready for students and get them repaired.
Yeah.
So we are actively doing that on 2.5 positions less. But I will say that is part of what Mr. Asher was talking about. That is part of our big plan, is to look at technology as a whole to see where we are and how we can better it.
Have we looked at other providers? Like, why did we go with Chromebook? I wasn't here for that, but is there like Dell, for example, do they have, we looked around to see if we can transition to maybe a more affordable route if Chromebooks
So
are, I don't know
will
anything
tell you
about this.
the computer that Dr. Jones is using is $1,200.
Mr. Chairman, the
It's not-
motion,
it's
the
not
motion on
cheap.
the floor is about
Approving fees.
Yeah.
approving fees.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions on the school fees? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. All right, we are now into our discussion items, and the first thing on there is the sale of the Pisgah property. So, actually, you walked away too far. Come back, and so what Dr. Abrams is going to cover is just the process of the sale of the Pisgah property.
I blame Mr. Wilson for trying
That's
to.
all right. We're past that.
So, according to our requirements for Pisgah, 702 KAR 4090 requires us to surplus property. It requires us to put out for bid, as the board has approved a sealed bid. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So KRS 424-131B requires that we publish at least one article or ad in the local newspaper. Woodford Sun will be that article that will run the 1st of July. We will get that put onto the paper. That will say we will be accepting bids through the month of July. The bid will close on August 1st at 10 a, or August 3rd at 10 a.m. That's the Monday after July, so that gives a whole month, and it will be a sealed bid with reservation according to the law that allows us to add that onto there. At that point, we will hand it over to the board to begin the discussion and opening of the bids, and to see what they are, what you all are wanting to do in closed session, and then we will go from that point. So that will happen on the August 20-something, 20, whatever that August board date is in August.
So these would be bids for purchase of the
Mhm.
property?
Yeah, so they will send us a sealed bid with the max amount of payment that they will pay.
And then we'll go into closed session and review all the bids.
August 24th is the board meeting.
Yeah.
Are we required to accept the bids if they are,
We have a reservation that
Oh,
we
okay,
can't
that's
say
what I
what the
was asking.
reservation is, but.
sorry, I didn't say that very well.
Yeah.
Do we have a reservation? Yes.
So the board has the, if we put that clause in there, which is required, that we have the ability to put a threshold. We will not accept a bid below this, but we can't tell you what that bid is.
Right.
Or that threshold is.
Is this normally how real estate is handled when school districts are, it's a bid process? You don't like put a sign out for this and that realtor and,
So the
Like
regulation
houses.
gives you all three specific options about how to proceed. Sealed bid is one of those, and that's the one you all voted on. I figured it was the last meeting or the meeting before. But you have to, any of those are designed to ensure that you get fair market value for the property, which is why the district can reject all bids, as he mentioned. Yeah. But you have to use one of the methods specified in the reg.
thank you.
Everybody good? All right. So next we are going to, well, I did,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Before you ask, are you getting ready to ask for the executive session?
I was, yep,
I'd like to make a proposal.
okay.
9 o'clock. Many of you all have been going since 7 or 7:30 this morning. To me, the most important thing on our agenda today was the superintendent evaluation. I would propose, rather than starting at 9 o'clock, that we maybe schedule a special meeting just for the single purpose of superintendent evaluation. Just my thoughts. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
That's a excellent point. I mean, you certainly don't want to be doing one of the most important jobs of your role, you know, after you've been sitting here
Especially her
for
first one.
3 hours. Yeah. I mean, if there's some flexibility to do that, I think that would be fine.
I was like,
Yeah,
July
we can
1
do
is
it.
the cutoff, so it would need to be
A special meeting.
probably this
I
week.
will not be available.
Oh,
Okay.
The rest of the month?
Yes. But, I mean, I won't be available.
We could have it virtually.
I would not be available.
No, not at all.
And then that would also accrue more money, cost for us going into to pay the board to be there. I would be willing to waive my fee if that's even a thing, but I'm not available.
But you're not available or something. I'll wait till Miss Springate comes back. No, you're good. You're good.
But I do agree. I agree. I'm just not available the rest of the month. Now, I can meet maybe tomorrow night or the night after, but I'm not available for the rest of the month.
Could you do it?
Could you do tomorrow night?
I can't do tomorrow, but I could do, I could check my Wednesday availability and make some adjustments.
Is there a way to do it earlier, like at 5?
Oh, I'm
instead
not
of-
Do we have to do
Wednesday.
24-hour notice, or?
Yeah, you have to give 24 hours notice. You have to give 24 hours notice for a special meeting,
Yeah,
so
Wednesday or Thursday,
you'll,
maybe.
you'll need at least 24 hours.
I will be out of town. It'll have to be virtual if we do it Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, because it'd have to be Wednesday or Thursday, because we don't have notice.
I could do it Wednesday. I would not be able to do it Thursday.
Wednesday's fine. What time?
What time could you do it Wednesday?
I could do it anytime. Well, I mean, during work
Yeah.
obligations, yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna be out of the state on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Can you do virtual Wednesday, Adam?
I don't know. I'm gonna be on a mission trip in Alabama, and we're gonna be doing a lot of things like the whole time, so I don't think
So
I
this
can.
has to be done before June 30?
Before July 1.
But we might have to push through tonight, is what it sounds like. Yeah, we might have to push through tonight if we only have 2 weeks, but availability
Then I
is-
would make a suggestion for next year.
Yeah.
Either it's a separate meeting or at the top of the agenda, because it's not going to be nearly as productive as it normally would. Now, we can go through the motions.
It's not gonna do her justice. What
But-
about next week? I mean,
I'm not
this is her first
available.
year.
I'm not available for the rest of the month to be able to,
Rest of the month.
yeah.
All right, I move we go into executive session.
But I could do it tomorrow. I could do
Got
it
enough notice
Thursday.
for tomorrow.
We don't have, it has to be 24
hours.
hour notice for a special meeting.
I could do Wednesday, but that,
And I can't.
Right, there's a motion on the floor for executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second?
Second.
All right. right, we have a motion to return from executive session.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are back, and we are, just to go through what the motion was, we went to executive session for preliminary discussions relating to the evaluation of superintendent by the board and for discussions between the board concerning the superintendent's evaluation pursuant to KRS 156-5576 and KRS 61810, 1K, and 1F. So the 5 standards that the superintendent is evaluated on are, let me get there. First one is instructional leadership, or strategic leadership, which we gave a exemplary or a 4, depending on how you score it. For standard 2, which is instructional leadership, we have an accomplished or 3. For the 3rd standard, cultural leadership, we also have an accomplished or 3. For human resource leadership, we have accomplished and 3. And for standard 5, operational leadership, we have accomplished and a 3. For an overall score of accomplished. So thank you very much for all your service for this first year. It's been amazing getting to work with you and getting to know you, and thank you so much for all the work you've put in. And I mean, you've knocked it out of the park, I'll be honest. It's been so amazing to work with you and see everything that you've brought to Woodford County. Would anybody else like to share?
No, thank you, Dr. Jones. I mean, it's been incredible work. And as a first-year superintendent, to have scores like that, I think it just speaks to your leadership and everything that you've done for us and everything that you're continuing to do. So I'm very grateful for you.
Absolutely.
I concur. I feel like there was so much that we had so many ideas for what we wanted this next superintendent to tackle. And when we put forth, what the community wanted, what we wanted, when we took in all those surveys, when we listened to everyone, I think that you nailed it when it came to all the things that you had to tackle. And you've accomplished a tremendous amount in a very, very short time. There's still work to be done, of course, and we all know that. You know that. So stick around for what stays tuned, because I'm sure the sequel of next year will be even better than the first. So it has been a lot, and we appreciate the fact that you've worked so hard in all the areas that we've asked you to take on. I know it's been a tireless journey, especially being your first year in superintendent.
Thank you for all your hard work. I'm going to be brief. It's after 9.
Thank you. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.